Hey everyone! Old School Pokemon here, back again with the Pokeflips podcast, joined by my usual co-host, KetchumAllCollectibles Dan. And today we've got a special guest joining us. We got Evas Binder joining us. How are you both doing today?
Doing very well.
I'm doing very well. This is the greatest honor of my life. I feel like this is
Man.
years in the making. I was gonna do a video with Dan maybe 3 years ago or something, I feel like. And finally it's happening in the year 2025, almost 2026.
It's finally happening. We were way overdue, but it's here. And yeah, so many people will probably know who Eva is. Eva of Eva's Binder fame, Eva of Misprint.com fame. But for the select few who might not know who you are, you want to give us a little overview, talk about yourself, what you've got going on, maybe talk about the website a little bit.
Yes, I would be happy to. So for anyone that doesn't know me, of course, I am Eva. I have a small channel that maintains a strict quarterly upload schedule where I talk about investing in Pokemon, and then sometimes some more fun stuff like doing breakdowns of different sets. And, we have a pretty good time there. Not the most consistent channel, unlike these fine fellows over here who maintain a very impressive upload schedule, and the dedication is very impressive. But in the past year, my life has become entirely Pokemon. Like, I eat, sleep, breathe Pokemon. What in the vertical hell? I clicked the wrong screen. Yes, highly recommend the horizontal one. It is significantly better layout. But it's kind of a interesting story, and I think it'll be maybe hopefully an interesting one for you guys, because I think it's a slightly different perspective that I'll have than a lot of guests, because I'm not as much boots on the ground, flipping Pokemon cards actively, running a business in that sense. What I do is I actually run a tech startup, which is called Misprint. So it's a marketplace for trading cards. So I can just screen share really quickly and kind of show you guys what it's all about. I think there'll also be a link in the description, theoretically, according to Dan, where if you guys want to, I'm picking the thing, sorry. If you guys choose to use Misprint and you sign up with that link, you'll get $5 in store credit. And these fine fellows will get $5 as well if you make any purchases. But it's a pretty cool product. So you can see we're just on the homepage here. And if you go into any sort of card, so let's just take a look at Charizard V. We have all sorts of fun stuff. So we have price history. So this is ungraded. We also, of course, have graded pricing as well. And you can look at different timescales. We have an order book. Surprisingly, solid amount of listings. So we're pretty proud of that. And then, of course, all the pop info, recent sales. You can also track your collection. And we have a card scanner, which is really cool. You can scan 20 slabs at once, like PSA slabs. It'll give you recommended pricing. It will let you store them in your collection. You can list them for sale. So the goal is really to be like a stock market for trading cards. I don't want to hammer home on this because this isn't meant to be an ad for you guys. But just to give some context when I'm talking about these types of things, you have a basic understanding of what our platform does. And the goal is really to do more for less for collectors. So all of our data is totally free to access. Tracking your entire collection is, of course, also free to access. And we support singles, slabs, and sealed product as well. And I think it'll be interesting to talk about because my whole life is kind of trying to run a marketplace. So, a lot of times those things come up with Snipe and various other marketplaces. So can give maybe a bit of a different perspective on that as well. So yeah, I'm really excited to be here and have the chance to talk to you all. And I'll stop sharing my screen as well.
Yeah, so one interesting thing about Misprint, and Ava and I talked a little bit the other day about this, is it's trying to increase the liquidity, trying to increase the fungibility, trying to have that bid-ask spread of of an actual stock of an actual like Bitcoin. You can go into an exchange and you can see where the lowest ask is, where the highest bid is, and that gap in between. In a perfect world, it's as tight as possible, and there's a lot of market activity going on. But yeah, just a really cool thing they're doing there with Misprint. And she mentioned Snipe. Snipe is a recent debacle that that I talked about that I attempted to utilize, and it did not go that well. And funny enough, there's an affiliate link for signing up for Misprint in the description below. Some people might ask, well, Dan, the last time I clicked an affiliate link for you and signed up for a platform, well, my data went poof. Ava, can you talk a little bit about like what Misprint does, what kind of people are on the payroll, what happens with people's data once they're input into Misprint?
Yeah, so I watched both of Dan's videos about Snipe, and it was like a really interesting conversation within Misprint because, you know, I think Snipe was essentially someone who is like incredibly good at running a business when it comes to, you know, being a consigner and all of these things. And they did the natural conclusion of how can I expand this and kind of cut out this middleman of eBay. But when you're thinking about things like that, you kind of totally underestimate what goes into making a safe, secure marketplace that is good for both buyers and sellers. And Misprint is far from perfect. We're only a year old and we're still a really small team. But if you don't have that technical expertise, how can you possibly know who to hire and whether things are secure? So an important thing is having a partner that understands all those things. So I'm the CEO of Misprint, and I have a co-founder who is our CTO. And so we're basically 50-50 partners on everything. I have coded a good bit of things for Misprint, but obviously I am not an expert in, you know, web security and things like that. So having someone who is really important. And actually, again, we view ourselves as a tech startup first rather than, you know, a marketplace. A marketplace is our product, but at the core, we have all of these, you know, engineering principles and also important legal things kind of always are top of mind, because essentially, like, when you see something like that happen, one of the issues is if you store the data yourself, you have a lot more vulnerabilities. So as an example, I know that they said they didn't generally store people's payment processing info. You should never store that yourself. So with Misprint, as an example, everything is stored on Stripe, which is one of the most secure payment processors in the world. Sorry, let me just mute my Slack notifications real quick. Busy day.
Slack, that's like the fancy corporate Discord, isn't it?
I hate Slack, low-key. Like, I've used like a variety. So I guess also context. Like, I used to work at Goldman Sachs, and I was like an equity analyst, and I like quit to sell Pokemon cards, and then we ended up getting VC funding to do Misprint. So it was kind of a really weird roundabout journey, but also that means a lot of money is going into like making sure everything is secure and we're compliant with everything and users' info is as secure as possible. And you can't really do that if you're outsourcing a lot of things to contractors or especially overseas engineers that you're not as familiar with. If you yourself don't understand things like that, you should never cheap out on
I imagine Fiverr and ChatGPT were very instrumental in the construction of Snipe.
Yeah, because like so like using tools like Claude and stuff to code can be like totally legitimate and viable, but the problem is if you don't know, garbage in equals garbage out, right? Like if I were to try and make something that was like excessively complicated, I do a lot of like UI related things, so kind of what you see in the user experience. If I were to try and do that with like security, that would be really bad. That would just be really, really bad. So this is just a great reminder of the importance to take your time and kind of start small, because I think they just wanted to have a really big launch and do so when the hype was high. So maybe rush to get out a product that just like wasn't ready. Because like even after a year, there's so many things that I feel like we're missing on Misprint and that I want to add, and like so many features that I think would be super helpful for users. But like it's better to start slow so that you don't accidentally like burn anyone in the process.
Yep, that was the very antithesis of Snipe's methodology when they went for it. So yeah, I'm not a super tech savvy guy, but clearly made a big fumble with the whole Snipe thing. I did not know that pointers existed and databases could be exposed directly through a browser. Presumably, again, I did not verify this myself, but misprint.com has been around for a while, and I don't see an E4 post yet with people DMing me my personal information with all these things. So like it feels a fair bit safer.
Yeah, and like so oftentimes like so some things like are intentional where certain things should be exposed on a website. Like for example, to access the database of like card pricing. That needs to be accessible to the user. But it's when you accidentally maybe leave up something that was old, or for testing, a lot of these things can come through in that way, where they just like were kind of forgotten about, or it was part of testing and then nobody remembered to remove it before production came around. And then that's how issues like this arrives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so as Ava mentioned, there is a link in the description below if you want to check out Misprint. Don't feel any need to, but it is there if you would like to. And today's conversation doesn't entirely have to be about that. We just wanted to give Ava a chance to talk about the big exciting thing she's doing in the Pokemon space. As all three of us on screen here, we are all CEOs of our own companies that we quit our reasonable, like solid prior career paths for. So yeah. Here's a Misprint related question from the guru.
Yeah, so we have buyer protections. Essentially, we have like a return policy. So if there's ever an issue with any sort of order, we will make it right for you. And one of the cool things about being a like venture-backed startup is when things go wrong, like we can spend that little bit of extra money to make sure things are right for the customer. Because for us right now, having customers is so much more valuable than saving like $20. So what I mean here is, like, for example, there could be a case where we're not really sure who is in the wrong, which does happen. There are like scenarios like that all the time where maybe something gets damaged in the mail, but the seller says that it was secured, like packaged securely. We can afford to just in those cases pay out the seller if we believe that they're still a legitimate seller and give the buyer the refund that they deserve in that case. Whereas a lot of more mature companies maybe don't have the option to do that as readily, or policies are more in place. For us, every like support ticket is reviewed by me or my co-founder. So it's like real, like native English speakers and not AI reviewing every single support case.
Yeah, makes sense. But as we always do, I always like to say this towards the beginning. We're going to be here for the next 2 to 3 hours as we normally run. We'll run till about 3:15 to 4:15 p.m. Eastern. Leave your questions. We will take pretty much all questions that we get as long as we can get to them in time. Other than that, though, we'll probably just talk about whatever's going on in the hobby. What's going on for you lately, Nick? We heard a bunch from Ava with the website and all that. Anything new and exciting in your space while we wait for some questions to come in?
Nothing too crazy. We were talking earlier. Had my big Cyber Monday stream. I like that one.
Thought we were going to be talking about off-center cards and miscuts and misprints in that way.
I'm sorry to disappoint. I'm so sorry. We can talk about that.
That was one question I actually had. If you want to mention that, where did the name come from and why?
Okay,
why misprint cards?
This is kind of like a funny story. So our original name, which was based off of the domain that we could get for free before we got like funding, because this was originally going to just be a database. Because, you know, when I quit my job to sell cards, I was like, all these platforms like kind of suck. Doing deals is really, really slow. That was like one of the biggest things for me because I was doing a lot of vending, things like that. And so I just wanted like a faster tool. This was like before we were like, okay, let's try and get funded for this. And cardbubble.io was the domain that we could get for $10. So that was the original name. And then, you know, that doesn't really roll off the tongue super well, nor is it great for SEO. If you don't own the .com, they say generally you don't really actually own your name because people will still go towards that .com. And so we then get like funded for this and we're like, ooh, maybe we can like spend a little bit of money on a domain. And I sat for like a whole day thinking about different names. One of the other ones that came up potentially was Shadowless, but we decided not to go with that because it's too like Pokemon specific. And so came upon the domain Misprint was available for purchase. And I really like that name because, you know, misprints tend to actually increase the value of cards. Oftentimes, like they're more rare, but also oftentimes they're like a little bit scuffed, you know, they're a little bit weird. And I was like, that's kind of like us, you know, our product's not always like the most perfect all the time. You know, we're gonna have a lot of growing pains, but hopefully we add value for people. So that's where the name came from. And I think it's really good SEO. Obviously it is a bit confusing, but like many of the best names are like StockX, they don't sell stocks on there.
Interesting. Did you guys see? You guys actually had a little bit of promo. I know anecdotally, I was getting fed some my Instagram searches, maybe not YouTube, but definitely Instagram, some misprint ads. Do you guys do a fair bit of social media advertising, and how did that go? How was your Black Friday, Cyber Monday?
So our Black Friday sale went really well. We also launched a subscription during it. So at the start of the month, we're like, oh, we want to do a Black Friday special, and like, how can we like make it better for people? So we launched a subscription similar to TCG players, where if you buy frequently, it really benefits you because you get a discount off of everything, and it's the same kind of 1% when you start, then up to 3% over time, and like free shipping when you order directly from Misprint. And yeah, we did a lot of sales with that, and the subscription test, kind of, we wanted to see if there was the demand for it, went really well. It was a very hectic weekend because I was also like back in Wisconsin, so I was like just like on my computer the whole time, which was hopefully not too annoying to my family members, but that went well. And then what was the other question besides the black? Oh yeah, okay, about the ads. Yes. So our first like type of advertising we just did was like influencer sponsorships. So if you guys watch a lot of PokeTubers, maybe you've seen us on channels like Oyama's Trading or Phillips Collectibles. We sponsor Twice Baked Jake, and then a bunch of other content creators as well. And that was working really well. And the only thing is, I'm the only non-technical person at Misprint right now. So getting spread really thin, because to grow that, you have to just keep sponsoring more people. So it was a lot to manage. So we also started doing some like UGC style content, which is like user-generated content, and running ads like that on Instagram. So if you see any of our ads, there's a decent chance they feature a lot of cat memes, which people really seem to like. I don't know if those were the ones you saw, Dan, like if you saw any of the reels that we've had as ads.
I don't remember seeing any cats. I just remember seeing like, I don't remember what they were, but I remember seeing them. I don't remember cats. That's funny.
Not all of them feature the cats. Some of them are just people, which I think is worse. But I like the ones that have a lot of cat memes in them.
Uh-oh. Is someone cooking?
Oh, sorry. I live in New York, so like that's literally like outside. I'm sorry. I live on the 6th floor, so this is just like the reality. I'm sorry. I can try and sound a little bit better. That wasn't even that loud. Also, sometimes it's like.
Just didn't know if someone was cooking lunch or something, and lunch was done.
I'm surprised you even heard that. I thought that was coming from outside my house.
Oh yeah,
when I'm not talking, it makes it better.
No,
see, I'm wearing
I'm
wearing an earbud, so like it fed more directly into my ear, I guess, is why I picked it up. But yeah, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I didn't really run anything special. I think I know I'm bad at that kind of stuff. We are running some like giveaways throughout December. We're giving away a different pack art set of like the last 25 sets. Actually, I've got 2 young kids. Nice. And every day in December, we do like an advent calendar. They go to the calendar, and it's got like a separate day. It's got like a little pocket for each, and I'm giving them like 25 sets back as Fusion Strike. So December 1st, well, I actually asked my son, do you want to go in forward order or reverse order? So December 1st could have been Fusion Strike, but it was Phantasmal Flames because he wanted to go new to old. So he started with Phantasmal Flames, Mega Evolution, and then Christmas morning he'll be opening Fusion Strike. Similarly, on Fanatics, we're giving away like an art set of each set. We're going Fusion Strike to Phantasmal Flames on Fanatics. But I know Nick, we did something through Pokeflips. That was years ago now, 2 or 3 years ago.
That was a lot of fun,
exactly. Yeah. That was maybe our first year, but
I think that was our first year.
I think those things are like good to do. I'm just really bad at planning them and setting them up and executing on them. I don't know. But overall, streams are definitely slower. I guess pivoting into like talking more just general market stuff. We are in the midst of a massive crash. It is all headed to zero. That is what the YouTube space is currently saying right now.
I filmed a video about this yesterday as well, actually.
Yeah, my negative thumbnails are significantly more successful at garnering clicks than my positive thumbnails. And actually, I have a video coming on that soon. I've been doing a lot of the like A/B testing with titles and thumbnails.
I've done that.
But yeah, it's really, really cool, and I'm excited to share the information. And then I'm going to kind of talk about like what I plan to do from there on out, because I don't like playing the YouTube algo clickbait game to its fullest, but like there's a certain amount that I think it hits the sweet spot. But yeah, Ava, fresh insight from somebody, as you said, not really boots on the ground. What is your whole thought around? And I know it's a big question. It's very general. What's your whole thought about the past year in the market? Surging Sparks kind of sparked this obscene boom that we've been on over the past 12 months. And now for the first time this past month or so, it's really cooling some 10, 20%, 25% down on certain things, depending on what you're looking at. Yeah. What's your overall thoughts and takes on all that?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely due, I would say. So I write these like updates to our investors monthly. And I wrote one a couple months ago where I like touched on this and kind of how I thought something like this was going to happen, just because like it is like naturally part of it. And this is like also what I just like talked about in this video. So this is something I was just thinking about. I was talking more about sealed with that, but I think there's a lot of things at play right now that have not been at play so much prior to this year. So the dynamics of who is buying cards have like fundamentally changed a lot in the past couple of years. I don't know if you guys would agree with that, but there's far more large buyers like picking up cards. Part of that is for a lot of these like mystery products. So like these various like vending machines, power packs, different things like that. A lot of these companies are buying back cards in like massive quantities because they have insane amounts of money at like very high percentages, which I think we're probably keeping a lot of these prices higher longer than they should have. But when things get overextended like this, it's only natural for things to go down. So speaking about sealed specifically, like really what we're seeing is like it reverting back to the mean, which basically means going back to the expected trend you would see, because right now a lot of things have gone up far more than they should in the time span that they have. A lot of that is just like hype and things like that. So I don't really think we're seeing any sort of crash. It's also like a 10 to 30% correction on any given item. So nothing like crashing. And in like an actual crash, what you would see is when someone goes to list something, even if they put a listing way below market, it still wouldn't sell. It would just drive the market even lower. But you still see people picking up good deals. And like there's still this massive base of like institutional buyers that are buying up cards at like up to like 93% of market right now. So yeah, I don't know what you guys think about that, but for me, like I'm personally not super worried about it. Although I would say now is not a great time to be flipping cards on your credit cards, perhaps.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that, Nick? Are you maxed out across the board, using other people's money to the fullest extent?
Yes, absolutely. No, I do agree with you. I can't stand the whole YouTube crashing, the market's going to zero. I hate that. I do think we are past the top, and we are coming back down to earth. But it's nothing that it's not like 2020 where stuff just fell off a cliff. It's getting back down to reasonable pricing, which is a good thing. Hopefully at some point soonish we'll start seeing sealed product in big box stores and pricing not at MSR, not above MSRP. Thank you, Ray.
Thanks, Ray, for the super chat. Called me a Yeti earlier. I actually need a haircut myself, but Ray, I don't pay someone to cut my hair.
Way more than you.
Dan, do you cut your own hair?
My wife does. I run the clippers over at first, and then she straightens it up around the edges and stuff. But
I also cut my own hair, so very basic.
It looks like I don't need one, but it's just because these two spots are running back so quickly. But like it is getting pretty scraggly around the ears, and the back needs to be trimmed up. And
have you considered finasteride? I hear it works wonders.
I'm going all natural. I'm gonna let it do whatever it does. Maybe someday I'll have to start wearing a hat, but I'm not ashamed. I'm I'm just running it for now, and maybe someday I'll be a cue ball. We'll see what happens.
Is my construction like really loud right now? By the way,
I can hear it a little
can't
bit, but
wait.
it's not too bad.
Okay, just making sure.
City life. I had something. I forget what I was going to say. Nick, what were you just talking about?
Wow, not even listening to me.
I was reading comments. I was starring things. Ray's super chat threw me off.
Wow. No, I was just gonna say, hopefully Seal product gets back down to MSRP and we get rid of all these scalpers who are botting and buying it all up and flipping it. Hopefully that goes away soon, and we kind of get back to a normalcy.
That's what I was gonna get to. Like my sentiment the entire year, and a lot of people have been saying how wrong I've been all year, and so like I've been saying 6 to 24 months. I don't know exactly how and when and whatever, but I think every set that has not been widely available under MSRP, I think it will eventually get there. And I wouldn't say like Journey has fully hit it yet, but it is just about to. Like Journey, I've been saying, I think Journey will be the first one to fall. I think it's one of the weaker sets. I think it's a perfectly fine set, but it's no Destin, right? It's not really quite as strong as that or anything, or Surging. But Journey, I'm looking at my website right now, it is $5.17 a pack TCG player market pricing. And it has been released through so many of those Walmart bundles, so many of those Black Friday things. I've bought thousands of Journey Together in the past in the past month or so from botters, scalpers, whatever. Like that's just the market that we're in. They're my main supplier because distros aren't getting any product. But I've been buying those in the 4s, in the high 3s. Like open market is almost down to MSRP. So as I've been saying all year, I think Journey will be the first one to fall. And then once, like I'm buying it from people who are just buying it from Costco, buying it from Sam's, Target, Walmart, wherever. Once the margin stops being there, like right now, my buy list offers $362 on Journey. I don't know why Pokemon keeps doing this, but it's like, put it through Walmart now and no one's going to scalp that because they can't. Why are you putting it through a Costco bundle? It's like $3 per pack. Put it in hangers at $4.49 a pack or whatever. They do $4.49 or $4.99 and get it on the shelves at Walmart. I think there are certain ones popping up now where like certain packs are staying in stock for a little bit. They're not being immediately scalped. But I think that like artificial demand from the botters and the scalpers and stuff will just disappear when there's no margin to be made. So it's like just keep pumping things through there. It's starting to get there. I don't know how much of it has to do with like, I think the broader markets took a small retrace. I think Bitcoin's down 20% or so. I think that's like helping it some. All these things work together a little bit. But I think it's better for everyone. I think it's better for the hobby if these things are accessible. The whole think of the children meme, I don't really buy into it 100%, but like to an extent, there's some underlying basis of like that actually like people need to be able to get product to be able to be hooked into the franchise and all that.
Yeah. I think, oh, sorry, what were we going to say?
Oh, you're good. Go ahead.
I think also like one of the things is they're just doing a lot of these like more premium products that aren't even really for kids. So just talking about, sorry, like the for the children meme, like people will be like, oh, now a child can't open the booster box. Like nobody was buying me booster boxes of Pokemon when I was a kid. It was like Checkling blisters and things like that. I was opening like 1 or 2 packs at a time, and you just like never see anything like that. And just so many more like higher end products are being made right now. So but also like, I mean, Pokemon is really playing into a lot of the demand right now, which is totally valid on their end because it's incredibly good for business. I'm reading the pinned comment. I literally have never been able to buy anything on the Pokemon Center. As an aside, I cannot get through their like security, and I just want to buy like a couple ETBs, like a couple Pokemon Center ETBs for my collection. Because you might not be able to see it, but I have a ton of like Sun and Moon ETBs back there. There's a Generations one, Cosmic Eclipse, Unified Minds. They're under the more important things, which are the anime figures, of course. But yeah.
Mobile users will really have to squint in there. The framing is interesting that the mobile format gives us.
We do have an anime question since we brought up anime.
Oh, what is it?
Where's the anime question?
Here
we are.
Okay.
This one's all you, Ava.
Okay. My favorite anime, number 1, is Monster. This show is awesome. It's not just a great anime, it's a fantastic show, period. It's really cool. It's like around the time of the fall of the Berlin War, and it follows this doctor as he's like going on this kind of like thriller and like investigation. I don't want to spoil any of it, but really, really good show. I also like Noragami, which is admittedly not the best show ever, but like is very nostalgic for me personally. Yu-Gi-Oh, of course, another banger. Also, I started watching Serial Experiments Lane recently, which is really good. Also, Beastars is also great. So those are some anime that I really like, just like off the top of my head.
The only one I've ever heard of is Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh's based though. Yu-Gi-Oh's so good. Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds is peak.
All the
I've
other
never...
ones, no idea.
I tried Naruto. I tried Dragon Ball Z a little bit. I think there was one more that I tried. I don't know. I can't get into it. I'm a degen that just likes listening to podcasts on 2x throughout my workday. It's like if something is too good, I'll be too drawn out of my work and I'll just be not efficient enough to actually get anything done. So I think it's the podcast life for me. And then I watch a lot of like live sports. I'm wearing a Rangers shirt right now. So it's like if I'm going to sit down and watch something, there's usually a game on of some kind. My wife and I make our way through one series like a year. I think we've been watching Yellowstone for the past like actually 14 months or something. And we're almost finally through it. And then once we're done with Yellowstone, we'll watch something else. And that'll take us to like 2030 probably. So I just, I don't think animes are going to enter my my viewing pool anytime soon. We got some anime chat going on. Yeah, One Piece is something that I'm not going to devote the 1,000 hours or whatever there is of backlog.
Yeah, I like can't. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with like Dragon Ball. I watched like I don't remember exactly how many episodes it is, but like 200 episodes of like Dragon Ball Z. They were fighting this one villain whose name is Cell for 70 episodes, and I like got through that arc, and I was like, I can't. It just like it broke me because I was like, I have to finish this, and then it just kept going. Every time I thought it was about to end, it was like, oh no, there's actually 10 more episodes, and then there's 10 more episodes after that, and this is just one person that we're fighting. It was obscene. So I prefer like more like story heavy shows that have a lot of plot progression. But I don't watch that much anime these days because I'm just like always grinding. So it's also like the podcast life for me where I just like put stuff on in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, Pokemon is as close as I got to anime, I guess. And I watched Indigo League. I probably watched that a couple times. My kids watch occasionally. They jump all around. They've watched a little bit of probably every era. My son has watched Ash become the champion 20 times probably, and he can tell you every party that Cynthia and Lance and Ash and all the battles and who knocked out who. Like he's crazy into all that, but I've not gotten out of the Pokemon universe.
Well, so there's something similar to anime also. Do you guys know what VTubers are? So this I do watch very frequently. Do you know what a VTuber is? Okay.
I watch RuneScape content, and some of them, instead of being like face cams, they're like a dog or a cat or whatever, and that's essentially what a VTuber is, right? It's like tied to them, their motions, their words, and all that stuff, and it's just like a virtual YouTuber. Yeah.
Yes. So many of them are also anime waifus. Like they have anime girl figures. And there's also a TCG for this. As an example, this I don't know if like this is allowed to even be shown on the PokeFlips podcast or if this is too high quality content. This is like a $250 card.
I think that fits within PG-13, which PG-13 is a reasonable landing spot.
So I have a lot of
some of those. If
I'm
you
like
fan too wide, we might push up to like NC-17. We'll see.
No, I think we're all okay here. But this is like a new TCG that like is made by GamerSups. It's called V Card. It's awesome, and I like it a lot. So highly recommend. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm aware of a couple RuneScape streamers, and I don't watch the streamers directly, but I watch like compilation things. What's the one? There's one really funny one. He's like a dog. He's like a golden retriever like virtual and all his reactions, and he's got like some funny little things that his dog will do when he gets a big drop or when he dies or whatever, and it's funny. I forget what his name is though. Anyway,
question.
Brett Dog. Yeah, Brett Dog. Somebody knew what I was talking about.
What is Brett Dog?
Brett Dog is this. He's this VTuber, I guess, who has like a dog avatar and he plays RuneScape. Okay. He's pretty funny.
You know, to each their own, Dan. I prefer human-looking women, and you prefer dogs. It's okay.
Yeah.
Someone asked a cool question asking about like if you could put all of the Pokemon market data into something like a Bloomberg terminal, what kind of analysis and research do you think would be interesting to do? I'm curious, like, what you guys would like to have, and then I would be happy to talk about some of the things I think would be really cool to have, and some of the things that we want to have in like the more short-term time.
What do you think, Nick?
I'm off.
Nick's not an investor.
I gotta think of I gotta think of something. You go first if you have one.
Okay.
If you could throw all the Pokemon market data into something like a Bloomberg terminal, what kinds of analyses and research do you think would be interesting to do? So I run a little bit of a self promo here. Like I run a Patreon with Jake from Pokenomics. He no longer posts YouTube videos either. Well, Ava is back to her quarterly schedule. Nick
I filmed a video yesterday about a relevant current topic. Okay.
Wow. I'm interested to see it. Nick has teased me many times with all these supposed videos, and then they never come to fruition. So I'll believe it when I see it. But no, you have posted a few, I think, in 2025. But anyways, Jake and myself, we do deep dives on Patreon, things that are a little bit too dry, a little bit too deep, a little bit too intensive to do for like YouTube videos. And the things that I always find myself going into are like looking at like the pop data, CGC, PSA, looking at like how they grade differently, tying in all the different price histories on that. I think one thing that I've said for a long time, short plastic, long cardboard. I am bullish on the hobby at large. I am bullish on primarily sealed product. I'm bullish on like the hobby existing to a large capacity in the coming years. But generally, I think a lot of the PSA premiums are just absurd, very broadly speaking. And generally, what I would put that over is the more replaceable, super high pop, very, very easy to achieve cards. What I think is interesting, though, I think there are some cards that, and even though I don't hold them, so I'm not like pumping my own bags, but I think there are a select 1 to 5, like 0 to 5% of the market that might be severely undervalued. And in the coming decades, well, this year kind of like a lot of that came to fruition with gold stars and with some base set first edition really running up. And I would like to look into things like that. And look into other things that I've dove into deep on the Patreon. But a lot of times we're looking at market caps, we're looking at like trends over time, and having the analytical tools to dig even deeper into that more efficiently would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that. Can I share my screen to show some of the stuff that I would want to do?
Yeah.
Just like for anyone who's not like familiar, this isn't even like Misprint. This is like I'm showing
I was waiting for you to say like, oh, I actually did this 6 months ago, and here's my.
Oh, I have a thing. I have two things I was going to show. Well, one I would be like, okay, let's do. I feel like this one's kind of cooler looking, so we'll go with this. So this is like a heat map, basically. This one is just the S&P 500, but we want to do this with Pokemon, and hopefully this will be done in like the next couple of weeks. It just depends because we have some other like views we want to create essentially, where you can kind of see on a daily or like weekly basis a more holistic view of the entire market visually, because a lot of times people just use like one-off examples, and like doing that, it's really easy to either like underestimate or overestimate certain trends. And so we would love to do something like this. So you could replace sectors. So like you see electronic technology there, that could be like Scarlet and Violet. And so this is also weighted by market cap. So we have all of this population data, and we also have market prices for things. So you can really easily create exact like market caps for individual cards, which to me is just like really, really cool. And this is like the type of stuff that I love. And being able to go in and dig like really deep on each of these things and also then zoom out and view the holistic picture, I think is great for giving people like a daily snapshot of things. And then other things that like we already have is, I'm going to share another thing. You might have to approve this as well. This is like a grade estimator that we have. So it quickly gives you like the expected value based off of like different populations. So the odds of you getting like the grade that you expect. And I really like being able to create stuff like this. So this is just like misprint.com/estimate. And again, all of this is like totally free to use. That's one thing that's like very important to us, is that people can like access these things without having to necessarily go behind like a paywall or anything like that.
Very cool.
So that's a more like practically useful thing. The other thing is more just like cool. I don't know. I like it.
We have some enthralling questions rolling in from our esteemed guests, our esteemed viewers of the PokeFlips podcast. Kai wants to know, would you grade with CGC or PSA for extra collector value? Ray is worried about and wondering when the Evolving Skies reprint is coming. We got some great questions rolling in. So, can you send top loaders to tag? So appreciate our very engaged, very well educated audience with all their great questions.
You know, the CGC PSA one, it's a real toss up. You know, I think that, I don't know. What do you guys think?
CGC all the way, 100%. Collector value, 100% CGC.
Raw collector value.
No,
The answer is none of the above for collector value, honestly.
Look how good that gold label looks.
I thought that your answer was ironic at first, Nick. Like, I actually thought that.
No, he's serious.
I genuinely absolutely love CGC.
I mean, like, okay, like the tier list for me of like aesthetics is like, honestly, probably like BGS Black Label, just because it's like cool looking. It's like not a practical thing to collect, because for me, like I'm a master setter. I collect Entei. I could show some of my Entei's, but I think that might be a little bit dull for everybody watching. And it's important to me that I can get everything in like a 10. And that's already hard enough with a PSA 10. And then when you start talking about a CGC or like a BGS, it's even harder. So it being popular, I think, is valuable. But Black Label, and then also tag, I would say that maybe like a CGC Black Label for like maybe label aesthetics, but I put PSA above that still because...
Oof, that hurts.
Illogical reasons. Also, I went to the tag facility and it is really cool how they actually like do everything. It's a very high tech setup. It's really cool to see how like streamlined it is.
I haven't heard much about them lately. I haven't heard much like regarding drama. I haven't heard much regarding big sales prices. They've just been relatively quiet, which I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing.
If I had to guess, they're probably pretty swamped lately with submissions.
Yeah, it seems like pretty much everyone is. Though I heard somebody said in Discord this morning that they had a CGC bulk that took like a week or something. Nick, do you submit to CGC a lot directly?
Yeah.
Are they that quick, or was that just like a first in F off type situation?
No, we have not experienced that quick. No,
Okay.
it's still like 3 months. It was backed up like 4 months. Now they're getting about 3 months. But I don't know. We do a lot of it's kind of funny. We do a lot, like Walrus will send his cards with the submission form filled out. He'll send my cards, just like send them, and CGC will fill out the submission form. And it's kind of funny that my submissions without the filled out form are coming back a little bit quicker, not much quicker, but a little bit quicker than his submissions where he actually fills out the form. Whether that be just them grabbing mine first or whether there's some logic to that, I have no idea. But yeah, that part is because you would think his submissions would come back quicker.
It's the whole first in F off, the joke I have about FIFO. Yeah. consistently inconsistent. That's with all the companies. I actually have, it's not my cards, but it's a customer order, which I don't middleman things too frequently. This was higher end stuff with a good consigner. And $300 tier PSA, Super Express. They've not been entered into the system, and they landed November 19th. So it's like they probably just, they fell to the bottom of a pile. I put the proper label on the outside. It was like 3 orders grouped together, but they've not even been accepted into the system yet. And it was an ultra modern, ultra line goes down very quickly play. So it's like, it's probably not going to pan out that well. But that's not surprising. I've submitted the PSA for over 10 years now, and that's just what you come to expect. It is what it is, as unfortunate as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's tough because you can't really show that from the outside of the packaging. So if the inbound is like way too much, it's kind of just shit luck, honestly, because I feel like it would be hard to rectify this problem, like in a way that's not just like doxing what you're shipping, like on the outside of the packaging.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I'll say, Nick, so it sounds like it's 3 to 4 months direct. I have a CGC Fanatics consignment service. They have to be sold. It's not for like collectors. It's not for returning your cards. 1 month consistently. So every Wednesday morning, I go and I list all the cards that are graded that week. And I was listing cards yesterday that were sent. They were shipped on like anywhere between Halloween and like the first week in November. So under a month, and they're listed and they're sent to auction. And so
it's
a pretty
wild how they're, because I assume
they have their own
they're doing
graders.
pretty good volume, and it's not just you. So why can't their headquarters have good turnaround times?
They have devoted graders they go right to Oregon. They have devoted graders on site, and they're just not as busy as which I'm sure at some point, like if and when the service continues to be successful, like they will get burdened down to the point where they're 3 or 4 months probably. I hope not. I hope they scale better than Florida has. But we love our lenient graders at Fanatics. Too lenient. No, not lenient enough, I would say. Big number, big money.
They're actually the most strict graders that they have.
What's that?
They're the most strict graders that they have.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't know. I've never submitted a card to CGC.
So Walrus wants to know, why are they capped at 100? It's just weird. Like, so I've had people submit 1,000 cards to my CGC Fanatics. I've submitted 1,000 cards myself in one submission, in one box. The biggest thing though, like they will split it 100 at a time. They just like that number for whatever reason. So I ask people to do it that ship to me up front. Because if you submit 1,000 on one thing, I'll give you one submission number, and then 9 ones will magically appear. And it's just harder for me to track. If on the front end, I give you 10 separate ones and you chunk it into 100 each, it's just way smoother, way cleaner, way more likely that I will be able to quickly devote each card to your account properly. So I have a minimum of 50 and a maximum of 100 per submission. But you can put a bunch in one box. Kai is buying 500 $8 slabs a week on Fanatics, bottom feeding off Dan's terrible service. Oh man, I honestly don't doubt it. Some things do go there like quite a bit under what they go for on eBay and elsewhere. Hopefully more buyers will go to the platform and like help bottom feed and raise that floor higher. But the crazy part is like I still make a margin. Presumably the people who consign through me make margin, and I don't touch anything. So it's like I'm not entering the cards. I'm sending out 500 penny sleeve cards a week, and I'm inserting cards and I'm withdrawing money basically. So as long as it makes money for me, it makes money for Kai, it makes money for whoever else is buying them. So yeah, go check out Fanatics every Sunday, because there's a lot of low cards that you can bid Kai up on, and then you can make me and my consigners a couple more quarters per card maybe.
Oh God, I hate this here. No, the ones that sell for $8 are just complete trash.
What's the end game of those? Like, I really like. I think those cards just get circulated back and forth between people who are like, $8 is a steal for a slab. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I can sell this for $8.50, and then boom, I'm making margin. And like, what is the end life cycle of this card? What happens is then someone is like, I can make $10, and then someone's like, I can make $12, and then they get burned because then it sells for $6, and the cycle starts all over again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just an endless loop. Yeah.
Yes.
One thing, actually, going back to the Bloomberg terminal question, one thing that I've contemplated doing is I think recidivism would be the right word. Maybe that's too fancy, but like, how many times does the average card once graded? How many times does the average card resell in the market before it's actually taken off the market entirely? So we see like gem rate. We see gem rate like, hey, 1 million new PSA cards were added to the database. If you scrape, and you would need a lot of data, you would like tech things that I cannot do. And Ava's got a look on her face. Maybe she can do something here. But like, how many of those PSA cards that are newly graded each year, how many actually ever get listed? I think in our minds, and kind of what Ava was just saying there, I think we way overestimate the amount of times these cards are sold. Very likely. This is my thesis that I would try to test. I just don't know how to test it. But I think way more cards never get listed like one time. I think they go into mystery bags and then they're just like boom throughout the end consumer, and they will never see the light of day again. Is that 50% of cards? Is that 90% of cards that sell one time? I don't know, but I think if we pulled everyone in here, we got 66 people watching live. I think if we pulled everyone in here, the average guess would be a lot lower than what it is in actuality. There are certain ugly PSA 10s that you see them on Fanatics, you see them with my consignment, then they get consigned with James, with Probsting, with whoever. You see the same cert selling sometimes 10 times over. But some of these like pop, what's PSA 10 base for Charizard? Pop 125, 130, something like that.
Yeah.
You only see a couple of those a year. And even Moonbreons, what's the pop? 15,000? How many sell a year? It's not 1,500 don't sell in a year. It's not 10%. So I think doing some kind of like
more than 1,500 sell per year, actually.
Unique ones I'm talking about. Maybe it is. Do 5 sell a day? That would be like 4 a day wouldn't quite be 1,500.
I can give you a rough guess quickly. I just like generally like just looking at eBay, because eBay is like the thing that is like the most representative of the whole market.
Maybe it's that many. But one interesting thing too, like Burger Chews, there's 130,000 PSA 10s already. How many have actually sold? At least through, and it's tough because you can't know, like, did it sell in a mystery bag that was opened on eBay Live or Fanatics Live or whatnot or whatever. Those certs aren't cataloged anywhere like they are if they go through eBay or Heritage or Fanatics or whatever. So it's extremely difficult. When a card is sold at a game store, that cert is not logged anywhere in alt, in Misprint, in the historical database, right?
Yeah, it's also, I think one of the big questions is what percentage of things are being sold on platforms like eBay or Fanatics as like auctions or buy it now, where there is a record of it, versus, like you said, being in mystery products or like in-person deals. Looking at the data, there probably actually are roughly 1,500 Umbreon VMAXs, like PSA 10 specifically, that sell per year on eBay. But what I'll say is, I think for these high pop items, it's a lot higher than like things like, so like I have like these cards like in a set of like PSA 10. These, I think, as like a percentage of each copy, trade way less frequently, because as soon as it ends up in like the end collector's hands, it stops trading essentially for the lifetime of that collector, as long as they are collecting cards. Like these will never like re-enter the market unless I'm about to like end up on the street. So I think that for these newer cards, it actually is relatively frequent, like that they trade. But I don't think each individual copy, like you said, is trading hands super frequently. But I think that each collector that holds on to them maybe holds on to them for like a shorter period of time. I think the thing that does get traded a lot are these like lower end cards that nobody is like wittingly buying and like seeking out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on that for sure.
Because like as an example, like, the Umbreon, like you can always buy another copy. So even if you're buying it as a collector and not like a flipper, you are less attached to it than something a bit more like specific that is a bit rarer.
Yeah. It's something I've thought about a lot, and I'm not good enough with data and I wouldn't even know how to attack it. I've attempted attacking that a couple times, a couple different ways, and it's just way beyond my pay grade. But it's a really interesting question, and like the Burger Chew would be a fascinating one. And there's just so many parts of the market that you can never capture. But like, how many of those that, especially, and one thing that you can capture, like the ones that were bought publicly on eBay, like all that's the cert numbers are captured. Those $300 ones, those $400 ones, have those been recycled? What percent of those have been recycled? And what percent of the $300 ones have been recycled relative to the $100 ones? It's not entirely fair. It's too short of a time duration, because the $300 ones have had an extra month to sell, whereas the $100 ones, like, that they've only been that low for like a month or whatever.
People are, I can't see situations like that happening where people are buying it for 300 and then a month later selling it for 100. I would hope not.
I remember years back, like PokemonPrice.com. That's dating myself. Like that site doesn't even.
I remember that.
Anymore.
Oh, that was the shit. That site was the shit.
I love that one. Yeah, it doesn't work anymore. But you used to be able to go in, and there were certain cards that I was selling, as Ava was addressing earlier. There were cards that were pop 50. I graded the third Yanma from Neo Discovery in PSA 10 first edition. There were certain cards where it was like, oh, hey, I'm looking at this thing, and it's like, there's the one that I sold 2 years ago. There's the same one just sold. Same cert number, same like fully trackable, traceable. When the pool of a card is 100 certs, it's much easier to do. When it's 15,000, when it's 100,000, now you need a lot more rigorous data handling and stuff.
Yeah, there's actually, I was looking up the Burger Chew card on Misprint. Can I like share my screen? Because it like literally like broke the chart how many sales happened for this card like per day. Let's see. So like looking at this card, each of these like vertical lines represents a day. So you can see, and then like the card obviously like wasn't existing graded before then. You can see just kind of how many of these are like selling per day. And normally the chart doesn't look like this because there's not like this many cards selling per day. So it is a crazy volume of sales like happening per day. This isn't like filtered or anything right here, but like all of these happened in a single day, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
That is
like for a fun visualization of the data. Those like each of those dots is like an individual sales point, and it's a straight vertical line. Like,
yeah. Stairs up, elevator down is something that's said about like price action of stocks and different things like that. And that Big Macachu definitely took the elevator down.
Oh yeah.
Here we go. Timmy wants to know, while you're actively on a live, you've been on a lot of YouTube lives. Which has been your favorite to go on? Naturally. So what's your second favorite? Because we know PokeFlips is number one. Let's just keep that awkwardness out of the way. We know PokeFlips is number one. What's your second favorite?
Well, like you said, this one was my favorite. I think for me, I think the first channel I ever actually went on was Jake's like Pokenomics, and I feel like that was like relatively memorable for me because I'd never like done a live stream or anything before. But like I'm generally just like happy to hang out with people. I also have not done that many lives. Like I can think of like less than 5 channels off the top of my head that I've gone on. So perhaps not the best question. I've done like a decent amount of lives just on my channel, like me by myself hanging out. So that might be my favorite channel if you look at the numbers. Just like me hanging out, talking to myself.
Any we talked earlier about listening to a lot of content when I was talking about not watching much anime. Inside or outside of Pokemon, any like go-to podcasts that you listen to frequently? Or
yeah, you know, I love OldSkoolPokemon and KetchumAllCollectibles. I think like unironically, like one of like I don't watch a lot of other like PokeTubers and stuff because I think a lot of it is like a bit over. I don't know, like I think you guys are both like relatively chill and reasonable guys who like are more reasonable on things. So like I said, I watch like Dan's like snipe videos and stuff like that, where it's just a lot more like calm and like reasonable assessment of things rather than like playing into people's fears and emotions and just giving like the less sensational, more moderate take on like most subject matters is what I generally prefer.
The antiviral take.
Yeah, essentially. And then outside of Pokemon, I watch a lot of VTubers. And I don't know if you guys are that interested in hearing about that, so I won't. Like, I just watch like a lot of really cringe stuff on YouTube. Like, I got my Spotify Wrapped yesterday. Like, 4 out of the 5, actually all 5 of the top songs I had like anime girls as like the cover art. So that should like tell you something, which is like really sad because it used to be a lot more like interesting things. But yeah.
Nice. YouTube did one of those as well, and mine was all. It was finance. There's some finance people I follow. It was RuneScape content creators. It was PokeTubers, and then I do partake in watching some like barbecue type content, just people smoking briskets and
crazy.
Food truck, and so my entire YouTube rap was like all of that, and it was glorious. I love seeing that.
That's awesome. That is definitely like very much a dad kind of playlist.
Yeah.
I mostly watch stuff
definitely,
also that like is not too entertaining so that I can like work while I watch. Because for me, like I treat most YouTube videos like podcasts, so generally things that I don't have to pay like super close attention to.
Yeah.
Kai watches Bluey and the Annoying Orange.
Bluey is kind of cute. Bluey is kind of good. I don't know if you guys have seen it before.
Bluey's awesome. Yeah, the kids are pretty big fans, and I Super Kitties and Paw Patrol, and they're all fine, but like Bluey is one of the more solid ones for sure.
Oh God.
I don't have kids and I've seen Bluey.
Can't say I've seen it. Can't say I've seen it.
Myself.
I am indeed subscribed to How to Barbecue Right and Chud's Barbecue and Max the Meat Guy, and maybe someday there will be a Dan the Meat Guy. Maybe I'm doing a little R&D for my own barbecue content someday. We'll see what happens.
Barbecue special episode of like Poke Flips.
A barbecue special.
I feel like it would set the vibe.
I like it.
Fly Nick in, be standing by the smoker, making some brisket, hit the Turning Stone Casino later that night. Nick, we gotta schedule that.
Chat to fund Nick's flight for the barbecue special.
Let's see. So we got a few questions rolling in now. Appreciate everyone with the questions. Bless you, Ava. If you were building a statistical model to predict future price outcomes for sealed product, what would be your most important variables? What variables do others care about that you don't? That's a good one.
That is a really good one. I think one of the key things to make a note of is a lot of these prices, like in hindsight, make sense, but in some ways are like very much not tied to anything fundamental. And a lot of that just has to do with what ends up happening like with each set after release. Obviously, like reprints play a big factor. But I think the most important variable is actually probably like there's like definitely a bifurcating line between things that came out before 2020 and things that came out after 2020. One of the key, like, and I own a lot of products that came out after 2020, but one of the key things to remember is like after 2020, that was like the rise of like the Pokemon investment. There's so much more product from after 2020 that is sitting stored away. Then again, that doesn't mean it's not going to go up, but that will create downward pressure whenever there is a big spike, which is also why you see so much Sword and Shield stuff going down right now, but not really the same with like Sun and Moon. A lot of Sun and Moon stuff is actually up, and they are not that far apart in like the time they actually came out. But there were not a lot of Sun and Moon reprints, even things that came out in like 2019, even like very late sets like Unbroken Bonds, Unified Minds. Those did not get like tons of reprints after everything went crazy with Sword and Shield. So you're not going to see the same downward pressure when there are price movements upwards because there's just a lot less of them. For newer products, you know, a lot of them are going to be in that same like ballpark of like there's definitely going to be a large like sealed supply. So you'd probably want to do like relatively distinct models for those. And then other things to think about are like what the product is probably. So a lot of things will just be based off of pack value. Generally, a lot of like random collections in Check Lane Blister will probably appreciate more in line with the pack value, Whereas you'll see things like ETBs or certain special collections or booster boxes, even though booster boxes are literally just packs, they may trend upwards beyond just the pack value because people specifically seek those things out. But a lot of this would probably come down to kind of a black box model where you take all of the data and you just kind of like put it in there. A lot of like machine learning things now are sophisticated enough to actually figure those trends out without you writing super like explicit rules for them. Also, I'm getting like really nerdy on this right now, but sealed product is like the biggest thing I'm interested in. I told Dan on a call the other day, one of the cool things we're working on for Misprint is like related to sealed product, and it is very much like an area of interest for us, I would say.
Ooh.
Also, another thing is I prefer things that are small. I have learned I like used to when I was in high school, I did not care like what I was like picking up in terms of size. Now I really value buying booster boxes because they are so small, because I have so many cards. It's
air and all that extra packaging are, yeah, they are terrible. Like I have quite a bit of space here. You mentioned you're in New York City right now. I can't imagine being there because like I live out in the woods. I have quite a bit of space. It is all filled though. Like when I get a print of these collection boxes and I look at a pallet and it's like, this is 1,000 packs. Like we will evaporate this in one day on the live streams. And it's like a pallet staring me down. It's like, what are we doing here? This is crazy.
Yeah, like I have, you know, those the celebrations like Pikachu figure boxes, like the Pikachu VMAX.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, why they've appreciated just fine, like they're doing well, but I still hate myself for buying them because each one takes up so much space, and I'm like, I don't know, I should not have like bought them just because the amount of space that they take up is crazy.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's that. But yeah, I think like the underlying thing that you should look at when you look at a set, like a product, is probably the packs that are inside of it, because that's the overall like largest driving factor of it, like going forwards. So probably you would use a basis for that. I don't think it's that important, actually, maybe controversial opinion, to try and figure out exactly how much was printed. So that's like maybe the variable other people care about. I think obsessing over reprints is kind of like a fool's errand.
When it would be nice.
I was gonna say I'd actually love to have that information. How much was printed? How much is being opened every day?
Yeah, but the problem is like, unless things change, we don't have that information. So like you're then doing like a guessing game. So I think like it's just like not the best indicator. Also, like you could probably proxy this by scraping like I don't know. I don't want to just say about like random stuff, but essentially like one thing you could potentially do is look at like, say, a given set, and you have to be like actively gathering tons of data at all times to do this, and we could probably like maybe do this, but if you take like, say, Surging Sparks, look at the entire history of eBay sales on a daily basis and look for spikes in that. You could try to guess the amount of reprints because you would assume there was some increase in sales around the time that those spiked, but that still doesn't necessarily work perfectly because there's so many more complicated things that go into play with this, whether it's just like a few people unloading things, stuff like that.
Again, this is another one of the things that like in the Patreon, I ill-equipped. I think I'm having the skills when it comes to the spreadsheets and stuff, but lacking the skills when it comes to scraping the databases and creating the databases and stuff. But one thing that I did was I looked at each set, and we know that like 11 billion cards were printed for a given year, right? And we know generally what sets were in release, what sets were in print in that given year. And when you create tiers of like your Umbreons, your Gengars, your Charizards, your Pikachus, those are always going to be S tier popularity. They're always going to have the most cards graded for them. Well, you can look at the pop of the Umbreon in Evolving Skies and look at the lesser ones, and you can almost try to correlate from, well, Obsidian Flames to Evolving Skies to Silver Tempest to like by looking at their highest chase card, what the pop is, what their lowest ones are, because like the pull rate for the Umbreon and the Rayquaza, they're the same pull rate, right? The only discrepancy in how many are in the pop comes down to more popularity or value. So like I feel like there's things you could do there, but the thing that I always come back to is like there's so much propagation of error because at every step you need to make some underlying assumption. and then every assumption layers on the assumptions, and then it just exponentiates throughout your calculations.
Yeah, and then another
It's
big
like-
factor is like
Yeah.
some sets like that's like very good logic, but then some sets are going to be open less because there are fewer chase products in it. So like, sorry, excuse me. Like for example, Sword and Shield base, all of the chase cards in that may have proportionally lower like populations because not as many people were willing to open Sword and Shield because it was not as fun to gamble on. Probably less was printed overall as well, but there's kind of like multiple factors, and then that's another assumption you have to make.
Bless you.
Sorry, I'm dying. The stress is just like getting to me.
But yeah, Timmy McGee. I'm pretty sure I know who that is. Used to go by just Timmy, but now Timmy McGee. I think it's the same person.
It's a good name.
Good thoughtful
Really
questions
good
all the time. Let's see. Let me grab. Here's a good one. Well, here's a quick one I can take for PokeSlam. So the CGC Fanatics thing, you just send me a quantity of cards. You send me the tracking number. I reply to you a submission number. Shoot me a DM or an email, and I can give you the whole spiel on how the process works. You do not need penny sleeves. Or sorry, you do not need You should have penny sleeves. You do not need top loaders or card savers though. So UAP wanted to know. For Ava, what's the goal for the site, and what's one data marker you want to add but haven't been able to yet?
That is a very good question. I mean, the goal is really to become like a stock market for collectibles, which is why we use like the bid-ask system essentially. So the goal is to get that spread as narrow as possible. And like, I think for me, the biggest thing is like making the market more efficient because I, as an example, like I own like a lot of sealed product, and going to sell that stuff can be really annoying. And I think a lot of people end up getting burned and then end up selling for less than they could get otherwise. Whereas if you have a marketplace where there is liquidity without the need to auction, I think that's super helpful for people. So like, as an example, if I go on Misprint like right now and say I want to sell like, I don't know, a box of Scarlet and Violet, we have like a $27 spread on that, which is really cool. So I could buy it for $230 or I could sell it for $203. And the goal is to get that narrower over time so that you don't have to like, I don't know, force liquidate these like large sealed collections as an example. And then eventually we want to expand beyond Pokemon. I would love to have some other collectibles, particularly things that I like to collect. Maybe not things you guys would be interested in, but I think that would be really cool. And like, the goal is to just become like a unicorn. So we were funded by the same early backers of Whatnot and Courtyard. They both went through this like startup incubator that we went through and have become very large companies in the space. So hopefully one day we will as well. And we've gotten a lot of users, and I think doing more for less for people and just making like a better experience overall for people is like really important for us.
I think there was another question on like the bid ask spread.
Yeah.
Do you mind just like sharing and then showing? I thought I started the question, but I don't see it anymore. I must have lost it. Do you want to just show if people don't know what that whole like bid ask spread is? Because people are familiar with eBay. You set up a buy it now. People either buy it or they don't, or you do an auction and then it goes for what it goes for. But it's a bit novel, and it's not novel as in like you guys invented it, right? It's very familiar with Bitcoin, with stocks, with different markets like that.
Yeah, let me like pull up an example. One thing I'm also realizing is the naming is kind of confusing for people if you're not familiar with it. But yeah, let me just grab like a card real quick that we can use as an example. Okay, so we can do this one. This should work fine. Also, I'm going to try and make it a bit narrower. So for anyone who is watching vertically, they'll be able to see it a bit better. Hopefully this looks okay for you guys. So essentially we're like on a card page. This is the price that you can just buy now at. So in like stock market speak, this would be the ask price. So the listed price, and then the highest bid, which is essentially like an offer. So if you think of best offers on eBay, it's like that, but it's public facing. So it's like a bit more transparent. So the spread on this is the difference between these two. And a more efficient market would suggest that these should be lower. So this is around $10 right now. And then we obviously like have different types. So this is kind of like your more typical, what we call order book, but like you think on TCG Player, all the different listings that you would see. And then we have a few that are from Misprint here for this one, and then from some other sellers as well. And we have like all the pricing info. And so you can go in and choose like, I want to get this. We have it in stock in a PSA 9, or you can sell it. This one, we don't have any bids on a PSA 9 right now, but also you can check out with a cart just like normal. I also have a lot of notifications here, obviously. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And then we do this for everything. So we do it for graded cards and sealed product as well. So you can see some things have a wider spread, some have more narrow. It also depends on like if a bid was accepted recently, it's going to be like a little bit wider than it otherwise would be. But like these are some of the recently sold items. So we sold a lot of near mint cards and then some graded ones as well. But we sell like a pretty high volume of sealed product, I would say, like as a relative percentage of our GMV. And it makes sense because like it's fewer SKUs. So it's easier to fill that book and get that spread narrow easier. And also I love the product, obviously.
And one thing that's always interesting with Pokemon is like, no matter what we do, like it's never going to be exactly like stocks. It's never going to be that supreme of liquidity and all that stuff. And there's always like a little bit of platform arbitrage.
Yeah.
So can you speak to like Misprint's value? Is that just TCG players' value? Is that, how does that relate, if it does at all, collector, card ladder, these various like data compilation websites that people might be familiar with?
Yeah, so for a lot of, so for singles generally, it's going to be TCG player market prices just because they kind of make the market for singles, and same for like sealed product. So it should be in line with that. And then we have our own algorithm for graded cards, which is definitely the most contentious thing to come up with a market price for, because there's so many different ways to go about it. And there's just like a vast array of issues and things you can choose to include or exclude that will make it all be like slightly different. But as a reference, like everything that we list, essentially we list at our market price. So we have a lot of trust in it. And we also will like buy cards from users. So some of the bids on the site will be from Misprint, and we base that off of like the market price. So we put our money where our mouth is. It's like very important for us that these are accurate so people aren't getting burned, and it also makes things more efficient. But when you say the value, are you saying like the value of using Misprint, or just like the values that we show people?
Yeah, like the Misprint determined card values, like what if I look up a PSA 10 Big Makachu, Burger Chew, what value is that derived from? Every alt, card ladder, collector, they all have their own algorithm of some kind. So it is like a unique algorithm, right?
Yeah, of course. It is like our own proprietary thing.
Mm. Cool.
But it's all free, which is great.
Timmy McGee wants to know, for all of us individually, what have been our biggest Timmy moves, presumably bad move, chat, and biggest Chad moves, presumably best moves, made a lot of money, whatever. Do you have any interesting stories of meetups that didn't go as intended? I'll go quickly on mine. I think biggest Chad move, presumably make a lot of money. The infamous gray felt hat case went really, really well. That was destined to go well, I think, based on how we set it out. And then the market just doubled on us, and then we sold it all, and then the market doubled again, and we missed that last double, but like we did well. Timmy moves, I think everyone, when they got back in early, I remember buying from Potomac Distribution. It's a website that still exists today, I think. I thought it was legitimate distribution. When I bought my Phantom Forces case for $600, I thought that was as good of a price as it got. Little did I know that like a week later, 2 weeks later, I was deeper in the hobby, down the rabbit holes, in the weeds. I registered with Matt Al with GTS, and I was buying those same Phantom Forces cases for $480, about $80 a box at the time. So I timmied in to a $600 Phantom Forces case that I ripped, and didn't get as nearly good of EV when I was buying them at $480. And then meetups I don't really do anymore. Back in the day, though, I've been ghosted at gas stations. I've been ghosted at grocery stores trying to meet up on Craigslist to buy like $50 or $100 a Pokemon card collection or whatever. And those days I do not miss.
No. Yeah, I guess, what would be, I don't know if I have a great one like the gray felt hats there. Also, can I say pins?
Oh, that was the
like
biggest
my
thing for
pin
sure.
trade. As much as everyone hated that one, that was actually a good one. I don't know if it was my best one, but we'll go with that one for the memes. Still have a lot of those that I have to sell, but and then stupid ones. I guess I probably along those same lines, just buying stuff outside of cards. So the pins were a good one, but then at the same time, I've tried doing like stickers, and just like stuff outside of cards, like toys, stuff like that, and it just has not worked out nearly as well.
For me, I feel like a lot of like my early things, I guess. Also, I was like a kid, so like I don't know, like what do you expect really? Just like I think one of the ones is like I remember I learned like this is like a scam on eBay that I was like not aware of and I just like didn't notice. So I like pre-ordered some boxes on eBay, which was like also stupid probably. But then they marked them as shipped and this was like 90 days before the set came out or something, or like maybe a little bit less. And then I didn't like put it together until like after 90 days had passed. And then eBay was like, sorry, no refund for you, even though the item never shipped and like never had tracking update or anything like that. So that was probably like very Timmy of me to fall for. I have not done that one since, obviously. And this was like a really long time ago. I don't even know if this is like still a scam that people do. Maybe I was like the only person who ever fell for it. I hope so. And then biggest Chad move. Oh God. I mean, do I even have any? I don't know. I feel like just like buying cards when I don't know, in like 2017 was like pretty good choice. Oh, another Timmy one is like in like this might have been 2020 or something. I got some like the XY Premium Trainer Collection boxes. They have a bunch of promos. Got those on clearance for $50 each. I got like 3 of those, and I was making like $15 an hour at the time. So this was a meaningful investment for Evas' portfolio. And then I sold 2 of them for $150 each like a week later. And I was like, wow, I am so good at this. And those are now like $1,800. And I can't sell the last one because I have to have it. So I feel like selling it too early sometimes. So that's why I also don't really like selling things too much. I also sold a Team Up ETB last fall, which made me very sad because I'm not going to buy it back now at these current prices. Chad move, I don't know, getting like VC funding, I guess, to sell Pokemon cards. It's a pretty good one. That's a good feeling.
That is a Chad move.
I have a lot of Monopoly money. That's like, if we're talking about things that made me the most money, that's definitely it, because I have many Monopoly dollars. And by that,
is there like a female naming for like we have Timmy and Chad we're using for this analogy of good and bad? Is there like is
Tammy?
there
I don't know. I feel like Tammy would be the
Tammy.
Tammy and...
I'm such a Tammy.
I don't know what would be the Chad equivalent.
Isn't it like is it Becky? I don't remember. There's like, or Stephanie. There's like actual terms for this. Cause like
there's definitely names out there. Obviously, Karen.
And I think they have like actual equivalents for this.
Karen is a known term for a certain type of individual, right? And I feel like Becky is one, Karen? But I can't. Karen is one. Karen, not relating to this, but like people know what a Karen is. I can't think of what, like, I feel like I've heard of a stereotypical Becky, but I can't describe what it is. A Karen is like, let me speak to your manager. But Timmy, Chad, I can't think of what the other. I feel like Stacy is one, but I can't describe what Stacy would be.
I think it's Stacy and Chad are the like.
I think Stacy is a good one, right? Is Stacy the Chad equivalent? It might be.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, yeah, Stacy is the female Chad. Okay, I was gonna say I know there's a Stacy somewhere. I don't know if she's good or bad, but so Stacy is our Chad. Okay, DC funding is a Stacy move. Yeah, that's funny.
You guys just out themselves. Everyone in chat.
Here's a contentious one that I think will be interesting. Lord Alcatraz 000 says, why is Pokemon gambling now? I will answer your question with a question. Why has it always been? Like, the core product I have in front of me, the product that I engage with, not a booster box, just as we talked about earlier, I was getting singular packs here and there. But like, you walk down the toy aisle today, you don't just buy a stuffy anymore. You don't buy a plushie anymore. You buy a chance at the chase plushie. Like my daughter is big into unicorns and big into rainbows and all that girly girl type stuff, right? The amount of products in the toy aisle that like you don't just buy the thing, you buy the chance at the thing. They never sold Charizard in the toy aisle at Toys R Us, right? They sold these. It's always been gambling. So I think it's different gambling now. I think there's a lot of interesting conversations that can happen around it. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, like I just always come at it from a pragmatic, logical, like calm angle of like, I don't care whether it's good or bad necessarily. It just is, and let's talk about it. Because I think there's, with everything, there's pros and there's cons, and presumably what this was referencing is repacks, power packs, instant rips, and to me, Nick and I have gone back on this on PokeFlips a bunch of times. As long as it's open, honest, transparent, as long as Pokemon is not saying, hey, there's a Charizard in every pack, come buy them. As long as they say like, hey, there's a chance at Charizard in here, that's all fair game to me. And if there's a digital product, and this is a competitor to me, right? I'm on Fanatics, we have instant rips. So like GameStop power packs, I see nothing wrong. They disclose the odds as like the underlying assumption, which I believe to be true, is that they're not lying about any odds. They're not gaming the system at all. Like, I hope that's a fair assumption. But yeah, and there's arguments to be made. I'm not going to turn this into an hour-long rant trying to make that argument now, but like the EV of this, very, very low. The EV of the average sealed product that we sell on our live streams on KetchumAllCollectibles, eBay, and Fanatics, 30%, and that's being generous. The EV of these instant rips and power packs and all these things, most of those are 80, 90, 95% EV when you rip them. So it's like, I'm not saying if that's good or bad or if that's evil or pure and angelic. I'm just saying that's what it is. That is matter-of-fact statement. That's my take. What are you guys' takes on that? Very contentious topic.
Yeah, I think it's just everything is becoming gambling now. So it makes sense. People would just rather have a chance at something of higher value. Like Dan says, they have too much money and they don't know what to spend it on. So they just gotta get rid of it. But yeah, I started doing them because they're popular. But yeah, I still don't like. I'm still not completely behind the idea of it. I still don't necessarily like the idea. I would much rather just run singles and have people buy singles.
So this is an interesting topic. I feel like I think a lot of times the why question becomes like a moral argument. But like we can also talk about it from a business perspective. Also, on the note of like the toy thing becoming gambling, that is 100% true. Also, I engage in this. This is like a mystery doll that you get, and I opened two of these, and I got this one which I wanted, and then I got this one which I didn't really want, and such is life. But also, these have been existing for like years, so you guys may not know this because you were not little girls in the 2000s. But actually, these mystery toys have been around for like decades. Like I don't know when like the first time I remember seeing them, but like I actually just found like a bunch of these from my childhood. They were like these My Little Pony little blind figures, like mystery. You could actually figure out which was which, technically, which I don't think is true anymore, but like these types of products have been around for a long time. It's just becoming more popular, which a lot of that has to do with the success of a lot of these like mystery like companies like Pop Mart and stuff became massively successful. But the Pokemon thing I think is actually relatively distinct. And I think one of the big things as to why it feels like it is gambling now is because now you can lose all your money on Pokemon cards without touching a single Pokemon card, which is like a key difference. And like talking about the EV of a lot of these like products, I think one of the key things to note here is, so like these power packs and stuff have a certain EV, and they have like buybacks, right? But a lot of this is like by design, not necessarily to make it fairer for collectors. It's more appealing. And if you say there's like a 90% or like even 100% EV, which a lot of them have, the problem is that there are a lot of there's a lot of friction to actually getting those cards back to you. So a lot of people will just then sell the item back, especially because since it's a mystery product, the odds of you getting the card you specifically want are very low. So what they do is they just arb 10% on you repeatedly until you are left with like a very small percentage of like your initial investment. Because even if you get a good hit, there's a very high probability that it's not a card you exactly want. And the cost to actually get it shipped back to you are higher than just selling it to them for 90%. So then you just like continue this cycle, especially because a lot of the money then gets converted into crypto on like a lot of these platforms or other like roundabout things where it's hard to actually like get the money out. So I would say that like for those types of mystery products and like vending machine things, it tends to be that people don't get like cards ever at any point in it and just kind of lose a good bit of money. And so that's why it's becoming so popular, because it is really effective. And it's really just like taking people who wouldn't necessarily use a platform like Stake, because these are like more comfortable. Also though, like this is a product that people want, and there's an argument to be made that you should make the product that people want if there's demand for it, depending on like what your philosophical view is. But yeah, that's kind of like one of the reasons this is becoming so much more common. Also, like sports betting kind of started this whole wave of like, oh man, we can get people to gamble on things. Or like Kalshi isn't gambling. We talked about this. It's prediction markets. So everything really is becoming like a type of gambling nowadays. And Pokemon is just like the latest thing. Also because values are so much more important to people with Pokemon than they were before. Like when we were kids, like, yes, every card had a value and you were chasing something, but you were chasing the card, not like the value of the card. Like, so that's kind of changed like over the years, not like suddenly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely changed for sure.
So there's like a super long ramble about that. But it is like an interesting thing because this is super hot in the VC market right now. A lot of these like more gambling focused kind of marketplaces or platforms for cards.
Yeah, and it's all the whole Kalshi thing. We had late night conversations in New Jersey about it. I actually downloaded the app. I've always been familiar with it, but like I've never seen and engaged with it. It's crazy. It's crazy where we're headed. Definitely a bit scared for like my kids and stuff. Like it's all gotten so much more ubiquitous just in my 15 years of adulthood. One thing that I always say against my own interests as someone who profits from selling these kinds of things, selling these ones, selling the digital instant rips, like set a budget, spend wisely, be careful around all this. Some people do like again, just stating objectively, like some people destroy their lives with these things. And I do not want people destroying their lives on our sales channels, on our platforms. But that said, it's like adults are adults and they're going to do what they want to do. And it is what it is. Like, I don't love it. As there's a backlog of videos on my channel talking about mystery products. And there was like 3 years ago, I think it was somewhere in there. I had at one point 500 unique graded card listings on my eBay, and they ranged between $15 and $30, somewhere in there. And I might sell 5 of those a week. They were selling very slow. I had years worth of listings. And so what I did was I made a YouTube video about the whole adventure too. I removed all 500 listings. I calculated the average cost of those. I didn't even do a mystery bag with a high ceiling. I didn't bait people with a PSA 10 Gold Star or a PSA 10 base first edition holo. I was very like fair and reasonable in that I just like, hey guys, you're going to get somewhere between a $15 and a $30 card. I literally said that like in my description. There's no big win here. And I think I charged $25 for it. And I think the average value was 22, somewhere in there, or at least the average list price was 22. I went from selling 5 a week to over 50 a week. It was the same slabs. And I didn't have those baity, scammy listings where like I took a picture of things that you couldn't get. I took pictures of the actual enclosed cards. The same cards that were in my 500 spread listings, I put into one listing. It was less work for me. It made more money for me. And there was 10 times the consumer base for it. So like, I understand that some individuals don't like it, but the market reality, the business reality is that not only will people pay more for it, 10 times more people will pay 10% more for this product. So it's like, I don't love it either, but the simple reality, if Pokemon came out in 1996 and they sold you a Charizard, and they sold you a Blastoise, and they sold you a Pikachu, and they never would have sold. I'm not gonna say a Pokemon name and then have that one fan in the chat say, "Oh, hey, I love that one. I would have bought it." But like there would have been some Pokemon that didn't sell. There would have been a lot of them that did sell. They would have failed as a company. If Pokemon came out with the same IP, with the same everything, the cards would have failed if they sold cards 1-to-1. No trading card game has ever successfully done that. As far as I understand. Maybe somebody will prove me wrong in the comments. But like it exists because of the gamble. The demand is higher because of the gamble. So it's like, I'm not saying it's necessarily good or bad. It just is. And my job as a business in this space is to navigate that within my own moral guidelines, within the scope of the law and all the platform terms of service and yada, yada. But like, I think that's what makes things interesting is that some people like certain things, some people don't. And it's all very actually interesting, intellectually stimulating to like navigate all this, in my opinion. Like a lot of it you could get very negative and you could, YouTube is all the same, it's all PSA CGC, it's all when is Evas guys getting reprinted. But like underlying all this, I think there's actually really interesting conversations that do get had in the right places at the right times and should be had more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will also say I love mystery products. Like back in like the 2010s, they had a lot of these at like Walmart and Target where it would be like they had like different ones for Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, but it would be like a bunch of random stuff. Like there'd be a structure decks and promos and stuff and like a few packs from like older sets. I loved those. And I've also opened a lot more modern products. One of the things I always wanted was one where like the EV was like 100%. And it's really just, I just want something and I don't want to know what it is. I want it to be like more fun like that. So to me, this is like a better alternative to a lot of the other options that used to exist. So that's also coming from someone who does love gambling.
Yeah, and I say all this.
Yeah,
too,
they have definitely gotten a lot better.
It used to be a lot more
transparency and better odds and all that stuff. So we're moving in the right direction at least.
Yeah, competition aids the market. Talking on a podcast with somebody who's like a competing marketplace. Like competition is good for the end consumer. Competition has drove these mystery type products to be significantly more transparent, significantly more positive EV, or not positive EV necessarily, but like less negative EV, if that makes sense. More positive for the consumer. So yeah. But I am at my core a gambler. I'm very good at math, and yet I still enjoy sitting down at the blackjack table a couple times a year and just enjoying the experience. It's fun for me. And I say this too. It's a weird thing to say, being someone who sells it. Like I cannot and will not engage with instant rips because like if I bought an instant rip, I cannot win because it's like if I win and I get a hit, oh, the platform's a scam. Dan's clearly got juiced RNG, whatever. It's like I can't engage with the product. And then I don't really want to engage with the competitor's product either because like that's kind of weird too. Like Fanatics probably wouldn't love it if I was doing one of these spending $50,000 on GameStop power packs or whatever. But like truly, if this was a thing 8 years ago and I was like peak collector Dan, when I was building my WotC PSA 9 collection, I guarantee you that Dan of 2016 would have been degenning power packs, degenning instant rips, and trying to game the system, trying to optimize it to where I didn't get wrecked too bad. But oh man, like that product is built for me. I'm just not. I'm not like the consumer. I'm not in the consumer chapter of my life right now, Pokemon life. But yeah. I don't know if you guys notice it or if it's just me, but like the mobile content comments specifically, I think our mobile viewership is significantly lower than the landscape mode. But some of the comments are like just wild. People just hop in.
I was gonna say that after the
I noticed that as well. I think we all
like why.
What are your guys' latest bench presses?
I think last time I actually replied.
Like 80 pounds. I haven't sat on a bench press setup probably since college. I don't think I have the build for it. Long, lanky arms, I think are very suboptimal for benching.
Yes, I am. Yeah,
that to say, I'm a 235-pound man. If I knew the number, I would not be embarrassed enough to not tell people. I genuinely just don't know. It's probably like 100 and something pounds. Whatever is embarrassingly low for a 35-year-old 235-pound man. Being
Wait,
6'4",
so I have
I
a
don't think is
question.
optimal.
Do people viewing it on mobile, like vertical, like, do you guys see their comments? Because I didn't see that in the main chat. Like the comment that I replied
mobile,
about the bench press, like, are those
It-
comments segregated? Like,
it's two separate comments. So like our YouTube viewers on desktop or whatever, landscape mode, they won't see this comment except for the fact that I put it on the screen.
okay, so me saying like 80 pounds meant nothing to anybody, and it was just confusing.
And it's funny because you said that. I think if you were logged into StreamYard through your account, I think it would put it to both. Like when I type in StreamYard, sometimes it looks like I'm double commenting, but it's putting one comment in each. Oh, Ava just left.
Oh, geez, she's sick of us. She's sick of us.
That's funny. But yeah, it's funny. Oh, she's back. She came back.
I pressed the sign-in button on here because I was like, oh, maybe it's like a pop-up, because surely they wouldn't show me this while I'm actively in a stream if I would log me out to do it, and it immediately signed me out. So I'm not signed in. So I don't think I can do
That's
that.
funny. But yeah, I think sometimes when I reply, it shows like I'm double posting, but one you see the phone logo next to, and then one you don't. So it's like there's been times where I've been replying to a mobile user, and then people in like the regular chat will just be like, what is this comment by PokeFlips? Like, this doesn't make sense. It's interesting. I don't know if this is plus EV or negative EV to do both formats, but I think it's a cool feature.
It's good because, like, I try not to look at short form content, but you'll like scroll and see like a live stream, and it's like the stupidest thing ever, and it'll be like 300 live viewers. So surely PokeFlips, the highest quality podcast on YouTube, could get like 1,000.
Yes, exactly.
Another 5 years of dual format posting, and we should be there. 100,000 views an episode, I'm sure.
We are getting a bunch of new people from the shorts version.
Yeah, there's 70 people watching right now. It's pretty good.
And it is super high level engagement as well. Like answering what are our bench presses? Quick. Oh gosh, that's funny. Anyways, so I think that was an interesting one. I think that's very like a contentious topic in the space right now. And I think a lot of people, this is just a sad reality. People just won't critically think about things. People won't take into account any nuance. Like most people just have a visceral reaction to what's happening with it. And you can't start talking about the transparency, like the inability to scam through them. They're third party, audited, verified, just true randomness, all that stuff. Like people just don't want to hear that. It is what it is. Like I think that goes a lot of things in society just can't even be rationally, calmly discussed. And I'm not saying that about Lord Alcatraz, but I've seen some Reddit threads devolve into just the same kind of things a lot of political conversations devolve into, because people just have this preconceived notion and they just don't want to hear anything but full support of what they're saying.
If you feel that way, you should use Misprint. Transparent marketplace.
There we go.
There you go.
We've been asked if we would do like
set that one up perfectly.
We've been asked if we would do like stuff like the vending machines or mystery products, and we have not. Or like we have selected not.
Well, I will say I'm dipping my toes in right now actively. Full transparency. I do have an affiliate link. Sign up, get $5 in the description for joining Misprint, as I have. But I'm going to be trying it out. I have outlets through the live streams. I have outlets for like a lot of slabs. And Ava and I have been talking the past couple of days about doing some wide net casting, putting out a lot of bids, and just the tools they have at their disposal. I don't know, Ava, if you want to talk about any of that. That might have application to some people listening on the bid side, the ask side, whatever.
Yeah, so like one of the cooler things that we can do, because we're both like a data place and a marketplace, is like put in a bunch of offers like all at once. And this is a thing we want to make more accessible to people, like where it's like the more you use it, the like you could put in some like automatically. So you would kind of set your constraints. So for example, say I want like Charizard cards from like Sword and Shield. Like I'll take any Charizard card from like 2022 to 2023 that's like between a certain price range, and I want to pay like, I'll put in a bid at like 85% of market. Most people probably won't take that, but if I'm putting in a wide net, some people will. And if I'm not too picky, this is a good way to do it. Generally, I think the better strategy, if you like want a specific card, is to put in a single more competitive bid. But this is for people like Dan who like need a lot of cards. And this is a thing that we're beta testing, because you don't want to just give this to people to like freely do, because then you would just have like chaos. So it's like a thing that we are like tentatively testing out, and we have a couple people who put in a lot of bids and they really like it. So hopefully it's a feature we'll be able to offer more people, where like, you know, kind of like how you have seller tiers on platforms like TCG Player, we could have things that are like a buyer tiers, where the more you buy, the higher like your bid limit becomes. So that's something that we're like very excited about working on, and hopefully Dan enjoys it. And if you have any issues with the platform, like we are very happy to hear them. Like we have a Discord where most issues that get posted get fixed like same day. So I'm not under any illusion that everything will work super perfectly and smoothly immediately, but I think it'll be cool to kind of see that journey in real time that you don't really get to see with like a lot of other platforms where things are a bit more slow moving and kind of not a lot can kind of be done on the customization side.
And just some free advice.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Free consultation. Do not call the verified bidders super bidders. Especially don't spell it with a Y.
Is that what they was that? Well, I don't. I'm like, so like on PWCC, you know, you have to or well, Fanatics now, like you'd have to like put in like verification and stuff to put bids on certain stuff. It's kind of like that, because we don't want people putting in like a lot of bids that they can't afford to pay, and then cards start getting bounced. That is the worst case scenario. That sucks for people. So it's like making sure that's all like set up and legitimate.
And that's very standard for like Golden and for Heritage. Like I've sent screenshots and bank statements and things like that to get higher bid limits when big cards were going up and big lots. And eBay has some like soft hidden limits, I think. But I remember publicly when Scott listed that, Nick, you probably remember this, when Scott listed that trophy card through eBay, and there were people trying to snipe it last second with bids that were just not going through, and the card probably underperformed by tens of thousands of dollars. So eBay has some like soft limits in place that really aren't a thing with Golden. With Heritage, I have like a 6-figure bidding pre-approval, but only because I've been vetted. I've provided documentation. I provided my social security number for like credit purposes and stuff on those platforms. Whereas eBay, if you're selling on eBay, you've probably provided them your social security number for 1099s and such, but like they've never gone to those lengths for buyer vetting.
Yeah, well, so a lot of this is actually so eBay does have some limits on this, because I remember when I first made my eBay account, it was like it would limit the amount of bids that I could put in, but then a lot of these things just you'll never see as like a regular user, because a lot of these are kind of certain flags that platforms will look for. This also, a lot of this is just really fraud prevention from like a basic perspective, which is always like top of mind for us, obviously. But the goal is that you as a regular user would think there are no limits, because over time you establish certain like account authority where like you are like known to be legitimate. So like for us, for example, like users can generally put in like however many bids they want, like by hand, but it's like a lot of these bigger tools kind of require a bit more like special permission. Oh, also another nice thing is we take resale permits. So if any of you guys have resale permits, hit us up.
Wow, you're already better than TCG Player.
I know, it's huge. It's so important. And like, guys, if you guys don't have resale permits, I'm sure you all do. As loyal viewers of the PokeFlips podcast, get a resale permit. Don't pay sales tax, you fools. That's
if they don't, they haven't been listening to anything. Yeah. They need the scolding from our guests too.
Please comment if you guys have a resale permit and don't pay sales tax on cards you buy.
It's the responsible thing to do. No PC. We only have long-term inventory here.
Yeah, I think the mass being able to do offers like that, I think that's definitely a really big feature, and that'll be really good.
Yeah.
But like right now, I thought that was like that right now. So is it more like people just looking for like personal collection cards that are saying more like an offer type
Oh,
system.
we have people that will put
I
in
wanna
like
trade that
a
as cards for
200
this.
by hand. Like I'll like wake up in the morning and see 200 bids from one person. But
That's
they're like putting them in by
wild.
hand generally. So like we have some bids that we put in that I put in like algorithmically, and like we don't want too many people doing it all at once because then they just kind of like bid themselves up, and we want to make sure that like regular people can still put in like those more competitive bids for those cards that they specifically want. But yeah, so right now like basically it's like kind of like a more bespoke service where we'll kind of handle it for like individuals, rather than like an openly available like user facing tool. So a lot of this is like going into the database and like doing it by hand, like with certain queries and stuff, but like algorithmically. So they're getting put in, but it's not like I'm going to a page on the website. It's like I'm in the database right now doing it.
Yeah.
The database that is not exposed to anyone within a browser. Navigating.
No more than it should be. No more than it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the appropriate parts, the inappropriate parts, properly hidden. We do have some high quality questions coming in from the vertical, from the mobile chat. So the guru says, if Ava was a man, would the service be called Mr. Print instead of Misprint? I like that one.
I think it would be.
Okay, so there we go. I mean,
I'd actually probably just name it after myself if I were a man. It would just be like Evan's Binder.
Evan's Binder.
Oh man, that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one. I got some more good ones. Quick one for Chris Anthony. Being as financially literate as you are and indicate always talking about your buckets and traditional investments, are you paying attention to precious metals at all, silver and gold? I know Nick has a big coin history, big precious metal. The chemical engineer in me just loves the tangible nature, well, all the qualities of gold and platinum and iridium and rhodium, and oh man, that gets some things going that in my former line of work. But I don't have a massive exposure to those markets. But I do have some, and I am aware that silver is at like an all-time high. I'm aware that gold is crushing right now as well. But that said, paling in comparison to my pokey stonks. So I'm glad that that exposure to my portfolio is significantly smaller.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have some silver in my portfolio, and then I bought some like gold jewelry pretty close to spot price, like 18 karat, just like solid. So, that was a wise financial choice. That was back when, like, I don't know, a couple years ago, probably at this point. So gold has definitely gone up since then. But you can get a lot of nice jewelry very close to spot price if you go to the right places. Also, our office is in the Diamond District of New York, so many such cases around there. But I don't own like a crazy amount of like precious metals or anything like that. But I do have some.
Back when I was doing, if anyone's followed my eBay for going back way back 11 years ago when I got into Pokemon, there was some early time where there was overlap with some of my steins, with some of my coins and stuff and video games. And I actually did a little bit of jewelry locally. I would buy because all the pawn shops around us would offer like 50% of spot. So I would post a Craigslist ad buying gold jewelry, silver jewelry. I had the little acid test kit. I was buying some jewelry at like 90% of spot. And then I was just selling some of it for like 95% of spot. Some of it was just quick flips. And I would sell very small amount of it, but I would just sell it as what it was. I would sell, I remember I had a couple different like Tiffany necklaces and yeah, crazy Craigslist finds, some of them way back in the day. Unlock some memories. Here we go. Here's a good one from Kiki Jiki. Which 2025 goals did you smash and which did you fall short, business or personal? I'll let someone else go first while I try to star more questions.
Smashing was sales for 2025. I did not think we were gonna do as much in sales as we actually did. This was like because like I got I had a like realistic goal of like one number, and then I had a stretch goal of another number, and we like surpassed both of those goals. So it was awesome. So that was really exciting. Falling short, staying organized. I went into 2025 wanting to be Mr. Dan over there, spreadsheets, calculating all my monthly expenses, purchases, sales. And I've got January, February, March done. And then April through now is just who knows. So that'll be something that I do at the end of the year again. But I one of these days I do want to actually fulfill that goal because it makes life so much easier. But I just hate doing that stuff. How about you guys?
Dan, do you want to go first?
I can go first. So I publicly was on this like dunking goal. I wanted to dunk by Charlotte 2025. Charlotte has come and gone. I could dunk on 9'6", but I cannot jump. I went through 2 or 3 different jump programs and I lost 25 plus pounds and I gained like half an inch in my vertical. It's pitiful. I don't know. Like going back to, if I knew what I could bench, I would not lie. I would just tell you the number. Like I would not be ashamed. It just is, right? It's definitely not good. The fact that I'm 6'4" and 3/4 and can't dunk, but yeah, I'm not gonna lie about it. So I came up short there. It was not good. It did not feel good. It was not fun. And honestly, I've probably added 10 pounds back too. So I need to get back on that wagon. Not necessarily with dunking being the end goal, because like I truly just don't think I'll get back there in my advanced age of 35 at this point. But back in college, I did dunk here and there some, but it was never easy. Similar to Nick, GMV. I know PK has talked about it multiple times on his former weekly live stream that he used to do, but we've been booming so big with the live streams that he's been not even doing his weekly live streams for the past few weeks. What live streaming has become recently, adding on Spat, Grimer, and Bierski over on eBay Live, and then Ponga and PK doing the heavy lifting over at Fanatics. If you had told me I'd have 5 guys streaming with me within the operation, like I would not have believed it a year ago. So similar to Nick, like I had in my mind certain numbers and way exceeded the stretch goals even. Very nearly headed towards, counting consignment, counting wholesaling packs, and counting everything, nearly 8 figures in total sales under the KetchumAllCollectibles umbrella this year. And if the market doesn't go to zero, if the YouTubers aren't right that like it's all going to crash and head to zero, 8 figures seems like a lock for 2026. As long as, hey, the 30th, it only goes up, all that stuff. As long as that stuff holds true, over $1 million a month should happen in 2026, which is just crazy to say. So yeah, exciting times ahead. What about you, Ava?
Oh geez, I was supposed to think about this more. I think for us, definitely, I'm surprised by like the user base we've been able to grow this year. Like we might have actually already just hit this, like 20,000 downloads on like iOS and Android, which is just like a number like representative of the amount of users we have. And then the business growth overall, like GMV and stuff, has all been like really solid, especially for like a marketplace, because the biggest problem is like with marketplace is basically this cold start problem where like a lot of companies, you're kind of relying on one thing. Like you either want you're either providing like a service to certain clients and you kind of provide that service. But with marketplaces, you have this two-sided problem. You need sellers and you need buyers. Well, buyers can't buy anything if you have nothing they want to buy. Sellers don't want to come if you don't have buyers. So the fact that we've been able to kind of manage this and grow so quickly is like really, really, really cool. And like I'm very proud of that. And then I feel like my whole like personal life has like I've like had no personal life goals. So maybe that I would say that's probably where I felt short. I also like am not the type to like have like yearly goals. Like Dan, I know you had like weight loss goal. I remember in like one of your videos. That maybe it was like 2 years ago. I don't know. But
Yeah.
that's like not typically a thing that I do. A lot of my goals end up just being like professional goals and like work related stuff is where I get a lot of my dopamine from. But you know, I'm pretty proud of the my anime figure collection so far this year.
You got to set your SMART goals. I got my my graphic at the ready.
Oh wow, that's
Specific,
really awesome.
measurable, attainable, relevant, and time based. That's the engineer in me. That's my my decade as an engineer.
Yeah, I'm like super good at like all the work stuff, but for me, like the last priority is always like personal life stuff. So like, I don't know, doing like chores and like things like that. That's like my big weakness is staying organized in my personal life. Also, Nick, are you still streaming on eBay Live?
What was that? Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. No, I do that every night with got Thrifty streaming some nights.
Oh, nice.
I'll stream some nights, and then Walrus doing all the packaging.
Nice, yeah.
Appreciate the question, Kiki. Zard Lurking wants to know, do you all ever have coworkers that hear about your YouTube channels and hit you up asking questions about investing? Again, I'll let you guys go first. I feel like I missed starting a couple more questions.
So I obviously don't have a YouTube channel anymore. So no, I have not. But
what about people watching Poke Flips and asking? I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, for sure. But what is surprising? I want to go see what
Wait, why don't you upload to your channel anymore?
There's just no time. It's
a couple years now.
I am lazy. Just no time. And then what do I talk about? I talk about stuff every night in an eBay live stream. What am I gonna go on YouTube and talk for? But one thing that is wild is the number of people who have reached out. Not like obviously in Pokemon, there's been a bunch of people who have mentioned it. But then in like my normal like high school, college, I had one person recently that I worked on the ship with reach out about the viral Evolutions video that I was in, where I was an idiot buying an Evolutions box. He uploaded the original upload of that video has 30 million views. It's absurd.
And give Ava a quick rundown in case she's unfamiliar. Probably unfamiliar.
So if you haven't seen my viral short, I was just at a card show, and I went up to someone. He had an Evolutions booster box. He had a little sticky note price sticker, and I was convinced it said 1,100. So I went up to him and said, "Hey, could you do 1,000 on your Evolutions booster box?" And he looked at me and was like, "What do you mean 1,000?" And I was like, "Yeah, you have it. Can you do $1,000 on your box? I'll buy it." And he's like, "That's what it's stickered at." So I paid retail for everything I bought from him, which was cool.
But that's the better part of it that you missed. You missed recapping. Nick was like, "Hey, if I spend all this money here at full sticker, will you give me this evolving box at what he thought was 100 off, but it was full sticker?" So like, hey, if I spend $2,000 here, full sticker, will you also let me spend $1,000 here, full sticker?
Bro, you should be buying on Misprint. Crazy deals to be had. And like Dan said to me, it won't affect the broader market.
That is true.
So if Nick is gonna spend $10,000 on Misprint, just taking people's asks, will you also let him spend another $5,000 on people's asks? Will that be allowed?
I would have to think about it, but I think it's something that we could potentially discuss.
Perfect. You guys can take that in DMs later. Oh man, that's funny. I had one coworker. So the gray felt hat case, I did not go nearly as viral as Nick did, and it's since been deleted, I think, because some of the comments were like, how did a gray felt hat case come to existence? But it was up to like 600,000 views, I believe, on the main post of it. And I had a coworker be like, is this you? In a video where I was like buying a $50,000 case of 400 Pikachu hat wearing Pokemon cards. So I think at this point, everyone in my life knows that I quit my job and am doing this full time. But I think some of the sentiment shared with my parents from their friends and some family members, they're like, oh, that's too bad. Like you had a son that was a chemical engineer and a very promising career at like the company that I used to work for is like known locally as being like a good company to work for. People work there for 40 years and they retire and all that good stuff. And like they talk about it with like sorrow in their voice. And my parents, I think it's like, tell people whatever you want. Like, I don't care. I talk about it all publicly on my YouTube channel, but it's just an interesting dynamic. Occasionally too, with like some of my wife is a teacher. Some of her coworkers have asked like, oh, what's his channel name? And it's like, my wife tells me, and it's like, I just put out a short of how I made $30,000 flipping one card. It's like, you probably shouldn't tell them my channel name when all the time at lunch they're talking about their car breaking down and they need a new exhaust and it's $400. And it's like, my most recent short, and this was a couple of months ago, but it was talking about like buying that PSA 10 base versus Venusaur and then selling it on Fanatics and netting $30,000 in profit. Like, it is a little weird from that perspective, but overall, I have had generally positive interactions with it. It is a little weird though, for sure. How about you?
My coworkers knew that I was like really into Pokemon and stuff because I was like going to conventions and stuff, and like I don't know, I'm like too weird not to like talk about it whatsoever. You know, it's just like my special interest. And I've had like a lot of just like people I know talk to me about Pokemon cards, and I get like mostly ironic questions, I would say, about like, so what should I buy? You know, tell me. And the problem is they never actually buy it. That's the problem. They never actually listen. But yeah, I would say it's just like a lot of, I don't know, most people I know are like very supportive of it. But yeah, it's not like a thing where I want to be like, oh yes, like I have many Pokemon cards with lots of money and stuff. I think more people are interested also in the like whole CEO of like this company thing, you know, like, oh, you have employees and stuff, and like that's more interesting to people, and like the startup, because there's a lot of people I know who like want to do like the startup incubator YC and stuff, who will like message me asking about it because it's like a pretty desirable thing for a lot of people to do. Like a lot of people will drop out of college to do this, which my co-founder actually dropped out of his PhD program to do it.
Dang. Yeah, I got my master's program like 1 year before I quit. That was like the next decades to come. That was like pivoting into managerial type roles, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go sell Pokemon cards, and definitely no regrets. But just an interesting thing. Cooley had a similar comment. Kiki says, so you will actually tell people what to buy. Tell me what to buy. Dan never will. Ava posted a video, I think 2 videos ago. It was top 5 investments for the month, right? It was very PokeTuber-esque.
Yeah, of course, you got it. No, I think that also, there was no top 5 mentioned, by the way. It was really just, no, of course not. It was many more items, but it was really just talking about things that I thought were like more reasonable to pick up. You know, one of them was Brilliant Stars, which then immediately jumped 20%. So all I'm saying is,
ooh, you're a market savant over there.
Or she's a market
was it
mover.
Black Friday? Or was it just TCG Player Black Friday? But all I know
that's the pro move. Upload something on like Thursday. There we go.
No, I'm mostly kidding. But I mean, if like my friends ask me if they actually like Pokemon, I would be like, I don't know, this is like a decent thing to pick up. I also, all of my recommendations are like the softest recommendations ever, where I'm like, I think this might be a reasonable time to pick this item up, but only if you can afford to do so, and also if you like it, because you shouldn't buy things that you don't like.
I actually have two local friends that they were asking me specifically about prismatic, and I'm like, if you want prismatic, I will sell you prismatic at $15 a pack. This was when I was paying like 12 and market was like 14.50 or whatever. It's like, I will sell you prismatic at market. But I said, like, this set is brand new. I said I don't know exactly what it will go down to, but I think in the next 2 years, I think I will be able to sell you this for $5 a pack. And I still think that is true. I still think I will be able to give them a deal at $5 a pack. Right now, if they ask me to buy prismatic, let me see quickly what it's at and tell you what I would sell it to them for. So like it's come down quite a bit. And you know what I steered them towards? They're like, oh, hey, I'm just getting back into Pokemon. I want a cool set, fun opening experience. I sold them Crown Zenith packs for $4 a pack because I was buying them that week for $3.50 to $3.75. So I financially advised them into buying Crown at $4 instead of buying Prismatic at 14 or 15, and that panned out well. But it was done like, here's a suggestion. If I were a consumer, this is what I would buy instead. It wasn't like, go buy Crown, you have to buy that. It was like, hey, I will sell you Prismatic, but I think you will be happier if you open Crown. And they opened Crown and they were very happy. And hindsight, like, they can open Prismatic if they want to now for half price of what it was then. Because yes, $8.65. So I would sell it to him for, I would probably sell it to him for $9 a pack. Cash, yada yada. Good friends. I'm buying it at $7, so I could sell it to him for $9 or $8.
You're such a kind man. You're selling it to them for 35 cents over market.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's I don't have the comment highlighted anymore, but oh yeah, that one right there. I think we all covered that then, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And I have had I mentioned this before too in podcasts and on this podcast too, but like I used to have coworkers in the boom that would ask me if they should buy $200 Vivid Voltage booster boxes for an investment. And it's like, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm telling you what I'm doing and why. And I told them, like, I am dumping everything. It's like, I will sell that to you if you want it, but I don't think you want it for an investment. These are the same people that would talk all lunch break over the latest crypto thing, the latest NFT thing, the latest, like, it's like, just, what are we doing here?
Yeah, also just pick something. Like, the problem is people just, like, pick whatever thing that will make them money, but you just gotta pick one thing and commit.
People just
you
want
can make money
X.
doing anything, but you can't make money doing everything.
That is true.
I like
That's
it.
True.
HiveMind wants to know. So the government is listening. They too are not fans of gambling. Tomorrow they declare Pokemon cards gateway gambling. Pokemon cards are banned nationwide. What would the secondary market do in that hypothetical situation where no new cards are printed? Presumably in this scenario, the anime could continue all these, but like no more Pokemon cards. What would happen to the current ones, graded, sealed, all that stuff? Interesting thought experiment.
It would be a slow decline. I think it would stick around for a while, but eventually it'll fade out and become nothingness.
Yeah, I think it also depends on like if they're banned, like presumably it's illegal to own them, or is it just like no new Pokemon cards enter the market? If Pokemon remains super popular, I don't think that would necessarily hurt a lot of cards. I think a lot of cards that aren't super desirable would just kind of fade off, but I think if Pokemon as a franchise remains popular, a lot of those cards will just like remain popular, like of the popular Pokemon.
Yeah, I generally think the same. I think there could be some short-term mania hysteria. Things might actually pop more than anything. But long-term, honestly, this is a bit grim, a bit bleak. I think cards would have the same trajectory over the next 25 years that they will. I think a lot of these super high pop cards are going to age very, very poorly. I think there are 1% to 5% of like grails that will age very, very well. As with most collectible spaces, like the cream will rise to the top. The rest of the stuff will just decay away to very bad year-over-year returns. This few-year time period where all these 5-figure pop cards are like doing these obscene things, I don't think that's going to be forever. But I could be wrong. I'm just some dude, right? I'll be doing better financially as a business, I'm sure, if like the bull case happens. I just don't really believe it will happen the way a lot of people do. M. Sullivan wants to know what's a resale permit and where is it applicable. So every state, it's called something different. Like I had to fill out an ST-120. I'm in New York. It is a way to relay the information on your tax-exempt status as a business that buys and resells. So you cannot use a resale permit to avoid sales tax on your PC items. You cannot use it on items that you are consuming as the end consumer. But if you're a business that's buying, reselling in your live stream, reselling on your eBay, grading with PSA, reselling through Fanatics, wherever, that's where a resale permit is applicable on items that are intended for resale. So yeah, do a little Googling, do a little chat GPTing. I live in this county, in this state. How do I go about getting one if it's applicable to you? Please do not evade sales taxes improperly.
Yeah, so essentially, like, some websites and stores will, like, accept these directly, where, like, so Dan doesn't have to pay sales tax. Like, he doesn't have to pay New York sales tax when he buys Pokemon cards on Misprint that are for resale purposes, which matters a lot, because if you are someone who wants to flip cards for a living, why would you pass up an extra 8 to 10% margin on everything that you do?
Yeah.
But you have to be registered like as like an LLC or some other type of business to get this. But it's pretty easy to get, low key, like pretty.
My first one was a sole proprietorship. So like you could just be doing business as a sole proprietor with a DBA. That's how I was for the first several years. I think a lot of people jump into like the LLC thinking it's necessary, but like talk with your accountant, talk with your tax professional, whoever, sole proprietor, LLC, S Corp, C Corp, all these different things. And there's no just like best one. People want to know what's the best set, what's the best Pokemon, what's the best investment. There's no singular best business entity. It is very case by case. It's very person by person. So consult with somebody.
Not financial advice or business advice. None of this.
Consulting with a professional local to you that is competent and knowing what they're doing. It is business advice to go consult with other people. Yes, but it is not. I'm giving business advice to go consult, but this is the words of me, KetchumAllCollectibles Dan, and not the words of Misprint nor Old School Pokemon Enterprises Worldwide. Nick, this might be one for you. I don't know if we want to take it or if we don't want to take it. Do we want to take it?
I'm fine. So he's one I actually really like. I was I actually do like him. I think he's absolutely killing it. So his business model of just buying right now he's like he used to be pack ripping, just ripping WotC boxes left and right. Now it seems like they're getting into like ETBs, collection boxes, stuff like that. Just buying these massive sealed collections and auctioning everything off in these big streams. So I think he's absolutely killing it. And he's doing like all the things that you should be doing in terms of like growing your social media, posting on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that stuff. And yeah, so I think he's absolutely killing it. I do like him too. I think he's a good guy, and I think he was a good addition to eBay Live because of the amount of following that he has. It did bring a lot of people over to eBay Live, which was a net positive for everyone.
I honestly do a very minimal amount of market research. I need to do a lot more than I do, so I wasn't sure how this was going to go. I wasn't sure if this was someone that you would say they have a good model, they're good for the hobby, good for the community. I didn't know if it was going to be like, this person sucks, this person so that's why I cautiously put it on screen. But that's good. Jurtle's actually asked too, how may it influence the community? Does it positively or negatively impact the hobby? I guess regarding his business model. So his business model is just buying a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, like I'm not super familiar with what he currently does. I've only also spoken to him like a handful of times.
So they're in California. He used to be a big Whatnot streamer.
Yeah.
And then I think it was the beginning of this year, maybe the end of last year, about a year ago, he left Whatnot and came to eBay. and they like started out by doing like pack ripping, a lot of WotC boxes they would rip, and then more recently he got into just auctioning sealed product, ETBs, collection boxes, booster boxes,
And like shipping them sealed.
yeah. So yeah, he's just really just a live streamer. He does have a really big following because he's constantly posting stuff on Instagram and all that stuff. I do like him. I think overall he's a net positive for the hobby. There are some aspects that I don't like, but it's more so like your typical hype beast live streamer with the whole chat, this is too low, you got to get this up there, even though the pricing is already like what market should be.
Wait, he does that or doesn't do that?
I don't like. What?
He does do that or he doesn't do that?
Yeah, well, it's not him specifically, but yes, the channel does do that.
Wait, does most of his stuff like sell above or below market? Like, I don't know if they're doing like the flash sales where it's just trying to turn stuff quickly and it's going for like 90% of market, or is it all like selling really high?
He'll do dollar starts, so it can really sell for whatever. A lot of stuff will sell for at market or a little bit above.
Okay.
You mean some of your catchphrases aren't hype beast? Nick is. I will say this. Nick is fairly tame on the podcast. Sometimes he's almost falling asleep. I think he has snored a few times on the podcast live. But when he goes live on eBay, he's got the Squirtle Squad behind him. The saxophones play. He is a different animal. Like his intro was just a little bit of a taste. And your intro was fairly mild today, Nick, I'll say. But Nick he has a personality for eBay Live for sure. He is not the same person. Very hype beast, Nick. He's a huckster.
But my voice is still recovering from talking nonstop on Monday.
This one is interesting because it's like I think it's one of my biggest misses. Like my 99% of my advertising is my sub 10,000 viewer YouTube channel. Is this sub 3,000 subscriber podcast? It's my sub 10,000 follower Instagram account. I've done a couple paid ads on Instagram. I've played around with it a little bit. One time Fanatics actually gave me money. They gave me a credit to advertise through Snapchat. I never had a Snapchat before. I used it one time to post something that they gave me free ad spend for. I think that's a big miss that like I should be doing more with it, but I say that. I know it's a blind spot of mine. I will probably do nothing when this stream ends to like actually fix that. But I feel like I should do that. Do you do anything with that, Nick? Obviously, Misprint. I saw some ads over the weekend. Like you guys are a real company doing real ad spend, and I think that's all. Like,
some of my personal I'm bad at social media. Like generally, like I only post on YouTube. YouTube is like the only social media I enjoy and like participate in. Like I don't go on Instagram or like any other platform, so it's hard for me to. And like I don't like consuming short form content, so it's like I have like a few shorts on my channel, but I don't like making short form content or like anything like that basically. So YouTube is like the only thing I have going, and I mean I'm not that consistent at my YouTube channel either, but I do okay when I upload.
Yeah, I do think it is seriously. While the question, we'll talk about that, Dan. But
okay.
on a serious note, I do think social media and like Ryan's Card House promoting your stuff on Instagram and kind of bringing awareness. I do think that is really really important. And it can help grow your overall audience, especially on I'm sure every platform is the same, but where eBay is so small, they move so slowly. It really does come down to like the individual sellers kind of promoting themselves, versus like Whatnot, where you already have a massive buyer pool. I would assume it's a little bit easier to get people in there. But yeah, it is definitely important.
Here's one that's relevant in the current news. You guys see that Kabuto King signed first edition Kabuto charity auction is at 6.1K. Will it go for more or less than the Cheetozard? It's been blowing up my Discord that I'm in. The whole Kabuto meme. PSA 10 selling for over $1,000 now. Raw ones selling for $30 or $50. I can't even keep up with it. But I've got some boxes kicking around from years ago opening up fossil booster boxes. I think most of those eventually got graded with CGC and PSA and whatever. But I need to dig because I might have some minty box fresh Kabutos kicking around I need to sell.
So
that whole thing is wild. I can't believe that. It's crazy.
We have this like trending and like popular thing on Misprint, and so it's normally like cards you would expect. So like the Burger Chew is like #1 right now because it sells so frequently. But the third most trending one is the Kabutops card or the Kabuto card, first edition, and then like 5th is the Unlimited, and then a bunch of other like fossil type of cards and like Jungle Meowth have like become super popular as well right now and are selling through like crazy. So it's just like really, really funny to see that. And like you can see the sales for these cards have gone up like a significant amount. Like the prices, like the Meowth card is like hundreds of dollars now in a 10, whereas before it was like $100.
That's
so it's like actually creating, yeah, it's like really cool to see that. Like that's one of the upsides of having this data because you maybe wouldn't notice that otherwise, but it is impacting other similar cards as well, like these random commons.
It's so funny that things like this happen the way that they do. And like I've said recently, because of recent events with Snipe, I said I need to be more cynical. Cynical part of me is like 2 months from now, we're going to find out that like Kabuto King was back alley selling all his copies of Kabutos. He's consigning them, he's selling them, whatever. And it will just be like the audience, the viral crowd will be the biggest bag holders ever as he dumps all of this and just enriches himself to the tune of, I don't know how many PSA 10s he has. I don't know, whatever. But like, maybe that won't happen. But if anyone is in the RuneScape community like I am, and it's funny because I barely play, but I watch all the content. There was this guy that was like, so in the game, trout, like the fish, a trout, is a food item that you can eat. This guy was like streaming on Twitch himself eating trout, and he was going to eat 500,000 trout was like his big shtick. It was some stupid thing that went viral for some reason. Like it's an in-game item that's just a very bad item. It's not worth much. The price of trout got pumped like 10x overnight. It became this little viral sensation, kind of like the Kabuto is right now in the RuneScape community and the Reddit and stuff. This Trout Man guy, they were dubbing him Trout Man. Maybe his username was even that. He rug pulled everyone. He was getting donated all this money, all this trout, all this stuff. He just dumped all his trout bags on the community, rug pulled everyone, and he made like hundreds of millions of dollars of like, not real money, obviously, like in-game currency. But it was just hilarious. And like the first thing I thought of when I saw this whole Kabuto meme was Trout Man. So maybe one viewer that will listen to this in post or is here live right now, maybe one person will know of the analogy there with Trout Man. But I hope one person comes through and let me know in the comments or in the live chat if you are picking up what I'm talking about here, because I think that's going to be the end of this story, which is kind of hilarious, honestly.
Oh, also, so, like, you know that photo they had circulating? Bro could have totally had a bunch of random cards behind those first Kabutos. I don't know if like he's shown videos of them all now at this point. I've only just seen like that one photo that went super viral. That would be such an easy troll, like, to do on.
100%.
Like, I have no doubt he has a bunch, but like, how many? How many is a bunch, right? Like,
yeah,
funny.
it's funny how things like that can just next topic, please God.
Well, it's also, people say like I've tried talking about market manipulation in Pokemon a few times on my channel, and every time I bring it up, the comments are so like against like what I'm saying, basically saying like it's not manipulation, it's just demand. Like that's just how the market moves. And it'll be like very obvious. And like I know people who have literally told me like, do you see this spike in this card? I caused that. Like I bought all these copies. Like people have told me that. Like it is like a real thing that happens. And this one is like a great example of it. But it happens with other cards too.
Some things happen at such scale that it's like, if I just want to buy a few months worth of inventory for a stream, I don't buy from TCG Player.
Yeah.
But like, if I wanted to start buying packs for my stream from TCG Player, I would and could move the market so much on these individual packs. I don't play any of those games. The market is the market, and I just pay a percentage of that. But like, I could move the market with 20 grand on a single set's packs. I could move the market so much, and then you do that on singles and stuff, and it's like it truly, I think it's just some guy who like really likes Kabuto, and hopefully what I'm saying doesn't happen, but like it would not surprise me that much. The whole Troutman thing in RuneScape, it was just some guy for the memes, probably high off his mind, just like, oh hey, I'm gonna like live stream myself eating a bunch of fish in this 20-year-old point and click medieval game, and then it turned into this thing. The hive mind did what the hive mind does, and yeah, it was funny at the end. It's just like it's crazy. Like thinking like Walrus says here, questioning Probstein is one thing, but an actual king, this man has no respect for royalty. It blows my mind how quickly, and the Kabuto King is part of it. Like how quickly the news cycle pivoted off of Snipe. It's like he's just selling on eBay. It's just business as usual. We're memeing about Kabutos now. We're doing like the combined attention span of society at large is just fascinatingly tiny.
But at the same time, what is there to say or do about Probstein at this point? Everything's already been said. The normal person's not gonna change anything.
That's the thing. Like I'm not calling for something to happen. I'm just observing it outside looking in. It's like, this is very interesting. The things that people will get riled up over and the things that they won't get riled up over, I'm not trying to, as always, I'm not trying to influence. I'm just observing, and it is wild. Again, some of the things that people will wake up and choose to make themselves miserable over, and just, it's like, it's crazy. Humanity is a very crazy thing.
Mm-hmm. That it is.
So we covered the Kabuto King. So here's one from Timmy McGee. Timmy McGee, apologies. You had a lot of quality questions. I did not get to all of them, but I think this is the last one that I have started for you. So some CGC pristines are more difficult to obtain than BGS black labels, but fall short of the black label price. For example, Mewtube from Shining Legends, CGC pristine is 7. So 7 of them
out of 1,500.
Out of 1,500. So CGC pristine is 7 out of 1,500. Black label 7 out of 750, and PSA 10 is 2,600 out of 13,700. So presumably the pristine though is cheaper, even though it's harder to get. So there's a lot of things I could say on this. One, we don't know it's apples to apples. When I pre-grade, I send my best copies to Beckett. I send my next best copies to CGC, and I send my worst copies to PSA. So I like, if I graded 1,500 with CGC and Beckett, if they were the same tier of difficulty to achieve, I would expect to get less at CGC because I'm sending worse quality card. So that's one part of it. It's like, we don't know what's been being sent. There's a lot of arguments to be made that like the one sent to CGC probably are lesser quality than the one sent to Beckett. And then the other part is just obviously like demand. I think the branding built around the Beckett Black Label is so much better. Part of it is also like the process involved with it. I think BGS is like deemed a lot harder to deal with, so people just don't bother doing it as frequently. So some people just don't even try with maybe some of the cleaner copies. and whatever. But yeah, Black Label just has this aura about it. It has this higher tier standing in the hobby broadly, so it's not that surprising. What do you guys think on that?
I agree with you. I think the biggest thing is like you said, the Black Label generally is like a perfect card, where a CGC pristine and then a PSA 10 can have some flaws. And then also just the fact that BGS has been able to build a foundation and has been around so much longer. It'll be interesting to see what happens in like 20 years from now. First off, is BGS still a thing? Are they gonna finally go out of business? And then what happens with the pricing between like a pristine versus a Black Label when there's more, like when both companies have been around for a lot longer?
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys, specifically on the like what is being sent to each company. Because like if it were me personally, I mean, there is generally more value in a Black Label, so people are going to send those best copies to Beckett. I think CGC just doesn't have the same image. And then another thing to think about is like CGC used to have a tier above pristine. Like I know that they don't have perfects anymore, but the perfect was the actual equivalent to a Black Label, right? That they had. And now that that's no longer an option, pristine is the highest. But like to me, it doesn't feel like a Black Label equivalent, whereas perfect did. Like the same way a PSA 10 is not a Black Label equivalent. Pristine is just the highest one that they have. So it makes sense to me that it's not as expensive as a Black Label, because theoretically, per their own like standards, it is not as high of a bar.
Mm-hmm.
That is an interesting angle, yeah, that I didn't even think to bring up. Like they used to have this, and then they took it away, and they absorbed it into a lesser tier. So it's
like that Black or like that pristine could have been graded when they had a perfect. And
yeah,
like it wasn't a perfect.
Yep. I did mention it in the comments, but like if anyone has any final questions, we're probably going to wrap up in the next 10-15 minutes tops. We're getting close to that 3 hour mark. So yeah, hit us with the questions if you have them. I do see one other one from, well, two things. Quilly kind of wants to see if Ava, if you have him within arm's reach, if you can give some cool Entei card on the screen to cleanse of the Kabuto crime, as Quilly's own words. And then Timmy wants to know, if you were gifted $100,000 and had to follow one of two options, would you pick only sticking to the pooper sets? So the pooper sets, we were doing Timmy and Chad. We were doing whatever the Stacy and Timmy. So we were doing Timmy and Chad and Kimmy and Stacy before. Now we're doing pooper ones. Timmy, you had a big miss here. You should have gone pooper and super. I mean, we're gonna go pooper sets like SV base or super sets like Destined Rivals and Prismatic. So the interesting thing there is, like, obviously buying into them today.
We have to start with the Entes. I'm sorry, we have to start with the Entes.
Okay, go with the Entei. Go with the Entei.
Okay.
Get rid of the comment. We can't see fully.
Here, let me feature. Actually, can I feature? Here we go. You're gonna be featured.
Oh, there we go.
Whole screen.
So this trio, these are pretty cool. I love these guys, but I actually love this printing of Entei a lot, like a lot. I've got the jumbo in a 10 here. This is like a pop 6 or something. It's very hard to get, and a lot of these things are things you cannot find like online very easily. I don't have a lot of things like super close at hand. We've got the Japanese set from Dark Rush in 10s, and I was stupid. I graded a set of these to get all 10s, and I got 10s on my Entei's, but I didn't put them sequentially, so they have a 1 cert gap because I put them in like set order or something, or I just didn't think about it. And then I had to buy these, so I have non-sequential but off by 1, and then I have these in 10s, which I did not get 10s on when I graded, but it's okay because they're just the Raikus. And then I have the Dark Explorers in a 10 somewhere, and then a Neo Revelation Unlimited 10, which is actually rarer than the first edition. And then other cool things are like, this is not got Entei on it, but the Dark Explorers Blister, which is actually a pretty clean one. This is like in really good condition because it was like opened from a case recently. There was no Entei printing, sadly, like of pack art for this, but That's where the Dark Explorers Entei comes from, which is like my childhood like all-time favorite. But I think art-wise, it's definitely the Aquaplus one is like the best.
That is the correct answer. 100%.
So those are a couple.
Where'd it go? We know the actual answer is like I'm buying a little bit of everything for my pals because I just don't know what's going to happen. But if I had to pick, I would pick B. I would go with the better stuff. You're paying more up front. You're getting less of it. But like I think dollar for dollar, I think the super will beat the pooper.
Yeah, also because the pooper is still not a great deal. Like the pooper stuff is still above MSRP. So like this would be one thing if we're talking about Scarlet and Violet base for like $100 a box. Like this would be a different equation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very, very much agree. Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go same as you guys.
Kilkenny Bryan says, been out of the game for a few years. Once did a video call with Old School some years ago. Wonder if he remembers. Anyway, the market has gone crazy in the last year or two. Has it been popular stuff or has it been the rare discovered low pop stuff? So it kind of happened in waves. It was kind of like the gray felt hats and the higher pop, more popular alt arts, the more modern stuff really started taking off and the ultra modern product too started taking off in this time last year. Surging Sparks going up to its release. So December-ish, YouTube views too. Last October is when YouTube views really started peaking. So between October and May, it was primarily the more modern, high pop, ultra liquid stuff. And then more recently, the past few months, it's really been going into PSA 10 Gold Stars, PSA 10 Base Set First Edition, a lot of the lower pop WotC stuff. And it's funny how similarly that trend was to like 2020. Well, not entirely.
It is. Because I thought 2020 was like the vintage stuff, and this is like all modern.
Vivid Voltage was doing crazy things. I guess, admittedly, my memory's not good enough to say exactly what the time frames were, but like
Gold Stars and stuff like went crazy this year. Like, and Shinings, Crystals, a lot of those older cards did really well. E-readers did really well as well. Vintage was really strong this year, I would say. But I feel like when the market is generally weaker, vintage tends to suffer like a lot. Like I didn't really do anything in like 23, 24, and you did see like still spikes in demand for various like modern products, and those like did fine.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Because like whenever you see like old collectors getting back into the hobby, vintage tends to do well because that's what you like. They like will like gravitate towards a lot of vintage cards because it's like nostalgic.
Yeah.
Japanese is all over. There's some that's done pretty well. I actually have, my desk is a mess of labels. To me, a card like this, I bought this for probably less than it was going for in 2020. There's like 180 of these created. This is like a trophy card in that you had to win a tournament. It was awarded back in Japan in 2003. I think cards like this, and this is not me pumping the card. Like I bought it because I thought it went too cheap, and it's not PC. I'm not going to hold it forever. It is, I guess it's PC to the extent that like I've never owned one in PSA 10. So like I'm checking it off my list, but I'm going to resell it someday. I think I'll be able to resell it for more. It's kind of like a speculative momentum play, whatever. But I
don't know. You've had it on your desk for a few weeks now. Is it actually a resale purchase?
I like even the Venusaur that I bought as a momentum play, like that sat on my desk for a few weeks. When the time is right, I'm just gonna send it back in and auction it somewhere probably. But like Japanese is so broad. Like the ponchos crushed at one point. Ponchos are kind of like in this weird spot now. A lot of weird things going on with their bidding and all that stuff from time to time. Talking with James, Z&G Emporium, looking at other consigners. I think ponchos have some of the highest unpaid rates of any cards because there are people that just manipulate, defensively bid, shill, whatever you want to call it, and then not pay. It's kind of sad, but yeah, there's just like a cloud around those things that people mess with them more than other cards. So yeah, the market's very broad and wide, but generally speaking, we are booming. We are booming quite hard right now.
No, we're
mostly
crashing.
across the board.
The boom's over.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. We're going to 0. I forgot.
Everybody, I'm gonna get off this call and auction all of my Pokemon cards in one eBay listing.
In one listing.
No, you're gonna go undercut the ask on Misprint by 10% across the board, right? Well, we're not gonna auction. We're gonna ask on Misprint.
It's true. Plus, every auction on eBay just sends the market lower. Misprint, insulated.
Misprint dodges card ladder. Misprint does not move the market, so there are strategies to be employed from that bit of information. With that, I think we're at like a logical close. One last thing I'll say, like, Nick, did you see that Collecticon went public with a list that may or may not have been circulating privately for a while? But all the Collecticon dates are disclosed now publicly. Sadly, we talk about Collecticon all the time in this podcast. Sadly, we're not sponsored. We're just doing it for free. But any big standout dates for you, Nick? I'll see quickly. I'm going to see if I can get it on screen. Yeah, I'm going to find it. I posted it in a Discord recently. I'll screen share it.
I'm most excited for Vegas. That's going to be a fun one. That'll be, I think that's in June, middle of June.
It's Father's Day weekend.
Oh,
I'm not going to be there. Yeah.
Take the family.
Yeah. It's actually, honestly, if it was only Father's Day weekend, maybe there would be some play there. But it is Father's Day weekend, and it is a Cub Scout trip that I've already pre-planned, pre-booked with my son. So it's like fully out of the question entirely.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is what it is. There'll be a lot of other cool events. But 1 second, I am working on the screen share very slowly.
And then 2 Chicagos again, which I'm happy about. And then I'm also going to do probably do the Wisconsin one too. I think those will be the 4.
Oh shit, Wisconsin. How many are there? Oh my god.
There's 24. So starting off the year, Atlanta, Florida, places you like to be in February. I'm not a big fan of Florida in July, like they've done sometimes. So starting in warm places in February through April, which is nice. You got your Chicago, Cleveland. First new addition on the radar looks like Phoenix, which intriguing. I haven't looked at my calendar yet. I don't know if I can make that one or not. But Edison is nice to see. That's close to me. If Vegas was any other weekend, I would make it a priority. But it's just 100% no go due to my personal calendar.
I guess it's Minnesota, not Wisconsin. Same thing.
Yeah, Minneapolis is new, so that's like a 12-hour drive for me. I think our friend. That's where Classics is, right?
Not a 12-hour drive for you. It's like a 6-hour drive for me.
No, it's. Oh, is it more than 18 hours?
It's gotta be more than that for you.
Oh, okay. Initially, when I saw it, I'm like, oh, like Cleveland was drivable. That's not that much further than Cleveland, but it's way further than Cleveland. I did not realize. I think Classics is from Minnesota, right? I believe.
Yeah.
So maybe. Who knows? That's not too long of a flight. Maybe try to make that one as it's a new location. You got all your Texas ones like crazy. You got a couple Edisons, a couple Chicagos. Charlotte is going to happen. Charlotte, I think, looking at it first pass, I think my only one that I'm going to do is Charlotte, honestly. I need to figure out the other ones.
Did you get permission to do Charlotte?
I do have... it is my anniversary weekend, so there will be concessions being made. There will be trades, but it is happening. Yes, there may or may not be Disney cruises planned in our future to compensate for overlapping Collecticon with an anniversary weekend. But Charlotte's going to happen. Yes.
There we go.
Any standout ones for you guys aside from Vegas, Nick, the degen that he is? Charlotte for me. Ava, are you going to be doing a lot of... I know in the past, pre-Misprint, you were doing a fair bit of vending, right? You were vending in Master Set section quite a bit. I don't know how many he's going to make out of the 24, but is vending much of your future or no?
So we would like maybe have a booth for Misprint, like a lot of companies do. I would have to talk to them about it. The collection circuit, though, is like very time consuming. and we don't necessarily derive a lot of benefit. So like I'll go to conventions and buy stuff from people to list on Misprint, but like I only sell on Misprint. Like you will never catch me selling a card off Misprint these days. I'm locked in on that GMV for Misprint. So the benefit would be more like exposure or buying things, but like a lot of the times I can get the same deals or better at like my local shows that I go to that are like a 30-minute drive. So I'm definitely gonna go to like Edison, New Jersey, and then probably the Las Vegas one because that's gonna be so fun. Like that's really just, I'm sorry, Dan. Like it's
gonna be a big one. No, I know. I
don't even know if I'll make it to the show.
A big one.
You know, like it's gonna be too much fun. And then maybe some other like Chicago things like that, and then maybe some like nice weather ones. Probably ones in California and stuff because I might go to like SF and stuff for work, and they're like in the same area.
Yeah, that was an oversight that I didn't call out the San Francisco one being a big addition for people in that area, Johto Jake included.
I can take.
I'm gonna be most jealous
and see what the carnage is like.
Honestly, I'm a big food guy. I'm gonna be jealous of the buffets that people are probably gonna be partaking in Vegas. And Nick, I kick myself when we went Pokemon Saves the World 4 years ago or whenever that was. We did have some solid steaks. We went to that Bavette's, very, very good. We didn't do a buffet though. Like Vegas, I don't know. At least for me, like Vegas, a part of it is the buffets. Man, some of those seafood, steak. Oh, send me a picture of some of the buffets. That Nordic though, my anniversary weekend trip. That's
the best one I've ever done.
Yeah, the Nordic was amazing. I don't know. There probably are places in that vicinity though in Vegas, but the Nordic in Rhode Island, that's a big shout for any foodies in the Northeast. Food regrets, but I think with that, I think we're gonna call it. As always, very, very thankful to our guest for being here. Thanks, Ava, for your time. Thanks everyone too in the chat, keeping it lively. Always good to have ideas bouncing our way and keeping us going with the chat. So any closing statements, Ava or Nick?
Thrifty's message is true. I've seen her lose her phone. But yeah, no, thank you guys so much for having me. This was awesome. Obviously, like long time coming. Maybe you guys could come on my channel one time if I ever did a live stream with some guests and stuff. Could be a fun little crossover episode.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
One of your biennial podcasts that you do, one of your one
you guys can come sit under the desk with me, you know.
It has been a while for one of those live streams, hasn't it? But yeah, thanks everyone. Hopefully Ava will keep her resurgence to YouTube intact. I think she has a streak of 3 videos in a row every other week approximately, so hopefully we can keep that rolling.
There's one film. There's one filmed already. But it probably
we're set. This week, so. We're set for at least one more semi-weekly upload. It sounds like
I've like filmed a bunch of videos that I just never uploaded. Like I have a video of me like at card party and stuff that's like never got edited. Like so many times have I like filmed videos and not uploaded them.
You just gotta send them all without context. Dump them all on one day. Just send them all and see what happens. Feed them to the algo.
Yeah, unfortunately, I
don't know. Rusty did that at one point. People hated it. Remember that? He had like 20 uploads in one day.
I think that would be bad. Yeah. I think that would be bad. I mean, like, man, you know, nobody would want to listen to me editing or like speaking unedited. Just my rambling. That's you guys have that on lock.
I would think the same, but somehow dozens of people do it somehow. I don't know how, but bless them. Bless them, and
thousands. Think about that.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks everyone for being here. As always, we will catch you all later.
See you later.